and missed out on the medals entirely. In a remarkable men's free skate, many of the major medal contenders struggled with their routines. Of the final 6 athletes, 5 suffered falls. The only one to skate clean, well, that was Mikhail Shaidarov of Kazakhstan. He was left stunned as he won gold, his country's first Winter Olympic gold in 32 years. Yuma Kageyama of Japan, regarded as Malanin's nearest rival for gold, fell on a quad flip and had to settle for silver. Bronze went to his compatriot Shun Sato. Boxing now, and Fabio Wardley will make the first defence of his world heavyweight title against Daniel Dubois in an all-British affair on Saturday the 9th of May in Manchester. The 31-year-old was crowned WBO champion in November when Alexander Usyk relinquished the belt instead of making a mandatory defence against the Ipswich fighter. Dubois, well, he's previously held the IBF title, and his meeting with Wardley at the Co-op Live Arena pits 2 rivals who are known for their devastating punching power. And finally in golf, and at the halfway stage of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and Akshay Bhatia and Ryo Hisatsune are the halfway leaders on 15 under par. Bhatia signed for an 8 under 64 on Friday, while Hisatsune signed for a 5 under 67. The closest challengers to those two, well, they're both on 14 under par, and they are the American duo of Ricky Fowler and Sam Burns. A further 2 shot in arrears on 12 under is the Australian Minwoo Lee, the Austrian Sepp Straka, and the US star Jacob Bridgman. Tom Hoagie and Jake Knapp are then on 11 under par, with Matt Fitzpatrick, Patrick Roberts, Keegan Bradley, Hideki Matsuyama, Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth and Nick Taylor all on 10 under. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in cricket, and Ireland have picked up their first victory at the T20 World Cup at the third time of asking after beating Oman by 96 runs. Oman, well, they did put Ireland into bat after winning the toss, but for Ireland they were in a bit of a sticky situation. They were 64 for 4 after 7.3 overs, but a big moment in the match came when Lorcan Tucker was given out after being stumped by the wicketkeeper, but after a review it was deemed that the wicketkeeper did not have control of the ball, so he was handed a reprieve, and then Tucker went on to make 94, an unbeaten 94. It's the highest score of the T20 World Cup so far. He was ably assisted by Gary Delaney, who made 56, and also there was a quick fire 35 not out from George Dockrell. He hit 5 sixes, just 9 balls he took to reach that 35. Oman, in response, they were disappointing. They did have a 50 from their opener Ami Al-Khaldim, 50 from 29, and Hamad Mirza made 46, but they ultimately fell 96 runs short. Moving on to Rugby League now, and Lee Leopards ran in 5 tries. They opened their Super League campaign with a 26-14 victory over Leeds Rhinos at the Lee Sports Village. Leeds, who finished just behind their opponents last season in 4th, were first on the board through a penalty from Chris Hankinson after Jared O'Connor had the ball knocked from his grasp. But Innes Senior went over in the corner in the 16th minute, and it was 10-2 at the break after Edwin Epape dived over for Lee's second try. There are errors from both sides, and another very costly one from Leeds from the restart led to the third try, 10 seconds into the second half. Riley Lum spilled the ball from the kickoff, with Jack Hughes kicking through and then touching down. Matt Davis's next try, which also owed much to Leeds' mistakes, was initially disallowed, but the video referee ruled he had grounded the ball after a lengthy review. Cooper Jenkins's individual effort in the 52nd minute gave Leeds their first try, while tempers were fraying and a mass brawl ended with Harry Newman and Davis both sent to the sin bin. Lilo, they extended their lead to 18 points thanks to Lamb's 66th minute try, with Brodie Croft's late score for Leeds scant consolation. On to Winter Olympics now, and Ilya Malinin, the red-hot favourite for men's figure skating gold at Milan Cortina, suffered a nightmare as he fell twice and missed out on the medals entirely. In a remarkable men's free skate, many of the major medal contenders struggled with their routines. Of the final 6 athletes, 5 suffered falls. The only one to skate clean, well, that was Mikhail Shaidarov of Kazakhstan. He was left stunned as he won gold, his country's first Winter Olympic gold in 32 years. Yuma Kageyama of Japan, regarded as Malanin's nearest rival for gold, fell on a quad flip and had to settle for silver. Bronze went to his compatriot Shun Sato. Boxing now, and Fabio Wardley will make the first defence of his world heavyweight title against Daniel Dubois in an all-British affair on Saturday the 9th of May in Manchester. The 31-year-old was crowned WBO champion in November when Alexander Usyk relinquished the belt instead of making a mandatory defence against the Ipswich fighter. Dubois, well, he's previously held the IBF title, and his meeting with Wardley at the Co-op Live Arena pits 2 rivals who are known for their devastating punching power. And finally in golf, and at the halfway stage of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and Akshay Bhatia and Ryo Hisatsune are the halfway leaders on 15 under par. Bhatia signed for an 8 under 64 on Friday, while Hisatsune signed for a 5 under 67. The closest challengers to those two, well, they're both on 14 under par, and they are the American duo of Ricky Fowler and Sam Burns. A further two-shot in arrears on 12 under is the Australian Minwoo Lee, the Austrian Sepp Straka, and the US star Jacob Bridgman. Tom Hoge and Jake Knapp are then on 11 under par, with Matt Fitzpatrick, Patrick Roberts, Keegan Bradley, Hideki Matsuyama, Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth and Nick Taylor all on 10 under. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in cricket, and Ireland have picked up their first victory at the T20 World Cup at the third time of asking after beating Oman by 96 runs. Oman, well, they did put Ireland into bat after winning the toss, but for Ireland they were in a bit of a sticky situation. They were 64 for 4 after 7.3 overs, but a big moment in the match came when Lachlan Tucker was given out after being stumped by the wicketkeeper, but after a review it was deemed that the wicketkeeper did not have control of the ball, so he was handed a reprieve, and then Tucker went on to make 94, an unbeaten 94. It's the highest score of the T20 World Cup so far. He was ably assisted by Gary Delaney, who made 56, and also there was a quick fire 35 not out from George Dockrell. He hit 5 sixes, just 9 balls he took to reach that 35. Oman, in response, they were disappointing. They did have a 50 from their opener Amiel Khaldim, 50 from 29, and Hamad Mirza made 46, but they ultimately fell 96 runs short. Moving on to Rugby League now, and Leeds Leopards ran in 5 tries. They opened their Super League campaign with a 26-14 victory over Leeds Rhinos at the Leigh Sports Village. Leeds, who finished just behind their opponents last season in 4th, were first on the board through a penalty from Chris Hankinson after Jared O'Connor had the ball knocked from his grasp. But Innes Senior went over in the corner in the 16th minute, and it was 10-2 at the break after Edwin Epape dived over for Lee's second try. There are errors from both sides, and another very costly one from Leeds from the restart led to the third try, 10 seconds into the second half. Riley Lum spilled the ball from the kickoff, with Jack Hughes kicking through and then touching down. Matt Davis's next try, which also owed much to Leeds' mistakes, was initially disallowed, but the video referee ruled he had grounded the ball after a lengthy review. Cooper Jenkins' individual effort in the 52nd minute gave Leeds their first try, while tempers were fraying and a mass brawl ended with Harry Newman and Davis both sent to the sin bin. Lilo, they extended their lead to 18 points thanks to Lamb's 66th minute try, with Brodie Croft's late score for Leeds scant consolation. On to Winter Olympics now, and Ilya Malinin, the red-hot favourite for men's figure skating gold at Milan Cortina, suffered a nightmare as he fell twice and missed out on the medals entirely. In a remarkable men's free skate, many of the major medal contenders struggled with their routines. Of the final 6 athletes, 5 suffered falls. The only one to skate clean, well, that was Mikhail Shaidarov of Kazakhstan. He was left stunned as he won gold, his country's first Winter Olympic gold in 32 years. Yuma Kageyama of Japan, regarded as Malinin's nearest rival for gold, fell on a quad flip and had to settle for silver. Bronze went to his compatriot Shun Sato. Boxing now, and Fabio Wardley will make the first defence of his world heavyweight title against Daniel Dubois in an all-British affair on Saturday the 9th of May in Manchester. The 31-year-old was crowned WBO champion in November when Alexander Usyk relinquished the belt instead of making a mandatory defence against the Ipswich fighter. Dubois, well, he's previously held the IBF title, and his meeting with Wardley at the Co-op Live Arena pits 2 rivals who are known for their devastating punching power. And finally in golf, and at the halfway stage of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and Akshay Bhatia and Ryo Hisatsune are the halfway leaders on 15 under par. Bhatia signed for an 8 under 64 on Friday, while Hisatsune signed for a 5 under 67. The closest challengers to those two, well, they're both on 14 under par, and they are the American duo of Ricky Fowler and Sam Burns. A further 2-shot in arrears on 12 under is the Australian Minwoo Lee, the Austrian Sepp Straka, and the US star Jacob Bridgman. Tom Hoge and Jake Knapp are then on 11 under par, with Matt Fitzpatrick, Patrick Roberts, Keegan Bradley, Hideki Matsuyama, Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth and Nick Taylor all on 10 under. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in cricket, and Ireland have picked up their first victory at the T20 World Cup at the third time of asking after beating Oman by 96 runs. Oman, well, they did put Ireland into bat after winning the toss, but for Ireland they were in a bit of a sticky situation. They were 64 for 4 after 7.3 overs, but a big moment in the match came when Lorcan Tucker was given out after being stumped by the wicketkeeper, but after a review it was deemed that the wicketkeeper did not have control of the ball, so he was handed a reprieve, and then Tucker went on to make 94, and unbeaten 94. It's the highest score of the T20 World Cup so far. He was ably assisted by Gary Delaney, who made 56, and also there was a quick fire 35 not out from George Dockrell. He hit 5 sixes, just 9 balls he took to reach that 35. Oman, in response, they were disappointing. They did have a 50 from their opener Ami Al-Khaldim, 50 from 29, and Hamad Mirza made 46, but they ultimately fell 96 runs short. Moving on to Rugby League now, and Lee Leopards ran in 5 tries. They opened their Super League campaign with a 26-14 victory over Leeds Rhinos at the Lee Sports Village. Leeds, who finished just behind their opponents last season in 4th, were first on the board through a penalty from Chris Hankinson after Jared O'Connor had the ball knocked from his grasp. But Innes Senior went over in the corner in the 16th minute, and it was 10-2 at the break after Edwin Epape dived over for Lee's second try. There are errors from both sides, and another very costly one from Leeds from the restart led to the third try, 10 seconds into the second half. Riley Lum spilled the ball from the kickoff, with Jack Hughes kicking through and then touching down. Matt Davis's next try, which also owed much to Leeds' mistakes, was initially disallowed, but the video referee ruled he had grounded the ball after a lengthy review. Cooper Jenkins's individual effort in the 52nd minute gave Leeds their first try, while tempers were fraying and a mass brawl ended with Harry Newman and Davis both sent to the sin bin. Lilo, they extended their lead to 18 points thanks to Lamb's 66-minute try, with Brodie Croft's late score for Leeds scant consolation. On to Winter Olympics now, and Ilya Malinin, the red-hot favourite for men's figure skating gold at Milan Cortina, suffered a nightmare as he fell twice and missed out on the medals entirely. In a remarkable men's free skate, many of the major medal contenders struggled with their routines. Of the final 6 athletes, 5 suffered falls. The only one to skate clean, well, that was Mikhail Shaidarov of Kazakhstan. He was left stunned as he won gold, his country's first Winter Olympic gold in 32 years. Yuma Kageyama of Japan, regarded as Malinin's nearest rival for gold, fell on a quad flip and had to settle for silver. Bronze went to his compatriot Shun Sato. Boxing now, and Fabio Wardley will make the first defence of his world heavyweight title against Daniel Dubois in an all-British affair on Saturday the 9th of May in Manchester. The 31-year-old was crowned WBO champion in November when Alexander Usyk relinquished the belt instead of making a mandatory defence against the Ipswich fighter. Dubois, well, he's previously held the IBF title, and his meeting with Wardley at the Co-op Live Arena pits 2 rivals who are known for their devastating punching power. And finally in golf, and at the halfway stage of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and Akshay Bhatia and Ryo Hisatsune are the halfway leaders on 15 under par. Bhatia signed for an 8 under 64 on Friday, while Hisatsune signed for a 5 under 67. The closest challengers to those two, well, they're both on 14 under par, and they are the American duo of Ricky Fowler and Sam Burns. A further 2 shot in arrears on 12 under is the Australian Minwoo Lee, the Austrian Sepp Straka, and the US star Jacob Bridgman. Tom Hoagie and Jake Knapp are then on 11 under par, with Matt Fitzpatrick, Patrick Roberts, Keegan Bradley, Hideki Matsuyama, Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth and Nick Taylor all on 10 under. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in cricket, and Ireland have picked up their first victory at the T20 World Cup at the third time of asking after beating Oman by 96 runs. Oman, well, they did put Ireland into bat after winning the toss, but for Ireland they were in a bit of a sticky situation. They were 64 for 4 after 7.3 overs, but a big moment in the match came when Lorcan Tucker was given out after being stumped by the wicketkeeper, but after a review it was deemed that the wicketkeeper did not have control of the ball, so he was handed a reprieve, and then Tucker went on to make 94, and unbeaten 94. It's the highest score of the T20 World Cup so far. He was ably assisted by Gary Delaney, who made 56, and also there was a quick fire 35 not out from George Dockrell. He hit 5 sixes, just 9 balls he took to reach that 35. Oman in response, they were disappointing. They did have a 50 from their opener Ami Al-Khaldim, 50 from 29, and Hamad Mirza made 46, but they ultimately fell 96 runs short. Moving on to Rugby League now, and Leeds Leopards ran in 5 tries. They opened their Super League campaign with a 26-14 victory over Leeds Rhinos at the Leigh Sports Village. Leeds, who finished just behind their opponents last season in 4th, were first on the board through a penalty from Chris Hankinson after Jared O'Connor had the ball knocked from his grasp. But Inesigne went over in the corner in the 16th minute, and it was 10-2 at the break after Edwin Epape dived over for Leeds' second try. There are errors from both sides, and another very costly one from Leeds from the restart led to the 3rd try, 10 seconds into the second half. Riley Lum spilled the ball from the kickoff, with Jack Hughes kicking through and then touching down. Matt Davis's next try, which also owed much to Leeds' mistakes, was initially disallowed, but the video referee ruled he had grounded the ball after a lengthy review. Cooper Jenkins's individual effort in the 52nd minute gave Leeds their first try, while tempers were fraying and a mass brawl ended with Harry Newman and Davis both sent to the sin bin. Lilo, they extended their lead to 18 points thanks to Lamb's 66-minute try, with Brodie Croft's late score for Leeds scant consolation. On to Winter Olympics now, and Ilya Malinin, the red-hot favourite for men's figure skating gold at Milan Cortina, suffered a nightmare as he fell twice and missed out on the medals entirely. In a remarkable men's free skate, many of the major medal contenders struggled with their routines. Of the final 6 athletes, 5 suffered falls. The only one to skate clean, well, that was Mikhail Shaidarov of Kazakhstan. He was left stunned as he won gold, his country's first Winter Olympic gold in 32 years. Yuma Kageyama of Japan, regarded as Malinin's nearest rival for gold, fell on a quad flip and had to settle for silver. Bronze went to his compatriot Shun Sato. Boxing now, and Fabio Wardley will make the first defence of his world heavyweight title against Daniel Dubois in an all-British affair on Saturday the 9th of May in Manchester. The 31-year-old was crowned WBO champion in November when Alexander Usyk relinquished the belt instead of making a mandatory defence against the Ipswich fighter. Dubois, well, he's previously held the IBF title, and his meeting with Wardley at the Co-op Live Arena pits 2 rivals who are known for their devastating punching power. And finally in golf, and at the halfway stage of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and Akshay Bhatia and Ryo Hisatsune are the halfway leaders on 15 under par. Bhatia signed for an 8 under 64 on Friday, while Hisatsune signed for a 5 under 67. The closest challengers to those two, well, they're both on 14 under par, and they are the American duo of Ricky Fowler and Sam Burns. A further 2 shot in arrears on 12 under is the Australian Minwoo Lee, the Austrian Sepp Straka, and the US star Jacob Bridgman. Tom Hoagie and Jake Knapp are then on 11 under par, with Matt Fitzpatrick, Patrick Roberts, Keegan Bradley, Hideki Matsuyama, Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth and Nick Taylor all on 10 under. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in cricket, and Ireland have picked up their first victory at the T20 World Cup at the 3rd time of asking after beating Oman by 96 runs. Oman, well, they did put Ireland into bat after winning the toss, but for Ireland they were in a bit of a sticky situation. They were 64 for 4 after 7.3 overs, but a big moment in the match came when Lorcan Tucker was given out after being stumped by the wicketkeeper, but after a review it was deemed that the wicketkeeper did not have control of the ball, so he was handed a reprieve, and then Tucker went on to make 94, an unbeaten 94. It's the highest score of the T20 World Cup so far. He was ably assisted by Gary Delaney, who made 56, and also there was a quick fire 35 not out from George Dockrell. He hit 5 sixes, just 9 balls he took to reach that 35. Oman in response, they were disappointing. They did have a 50 from their opener Ami Al-Khaldim, 50 from 29, and Hamad Mirza made 46, but they ultimately fell 96 runs short. Moving on to Rugby League now, and Leeds Leopards ran in 5 tries. They opened their Super League campaign with a 26-14 victory over Leeds Rhinos at the Leigh Sports Village. Leeds, who finished just behind their opponents last season in 4th, were first on the board through a penalty from Chris Hankinson after Jared O'Connor had the ball knocked from his grasp. But Inesigne went over in the corner in the 16th minute, and it was 10-2 at the break after Edwin Epape dived over for Leeds' second try. There are errors from both sides, and another very costly one from Leeds from the restart led to the 3rd try, 10 seconds into the second half. Riley Lum spilled the ball from the kickoff, with Jack Hughes kicking through and then touching down. Matt Davis's next try, which also owed much to Leeds' mistakes, was initially disallowed, but the video referee ruled he had grounded the ball after a lengthy review. Cooper Jenkins's individual effort in the 52nd minute gave Leeds their first try, while tempers were fraying and a mass brawl ended with Harry Newman and Davis both sent to the sin bin. Lilo, they extended their lead to 18 points thanks to Lamb's 66-minute try, with Brodie Croft's late score for Leeds scant consolation. On to Winter Olympics now, and Ilya Malinin, the red-hot favourite for men's figure skating gold at Milan Cortina, suffered a nightmare as he fell twice and missed out on the medals entirely. In a remarkable men's free skate, many of the major medal contenders struggled with their routines. Of the final 6 athletes, 5 suffered falls. The only one to skate clean, well, that was Mikhail Shaidarov of Kazakhstan. He was left stunned as he won gold, his country's first Winter Olympic gold in 32 years. Yuma Kageyama of Japan, regarded as Malinin's nearest rival for gold, fell on a quad flip and had to settle for silver. Bronze went to his compatriot Shun Sato. Boxing now, and Fabio Wardley will make the first defence of his world heavyweight title against Daniel Dubois in an all-British affair on Saturday the 9th of May in Manchester. The 31-year-old was crowned WBO champion in November when Alexander Usyk relinquished the belt instead of making a mandatory defence against the Ipswich fighter. Dubois, well, he's previously held the IBF title, and his meeting with Wardley at the Co-op Live Arena pits 2 rivals who are known for their devastating punching power. And finally in golf, and at the halfway stage of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and Akshay Bhatia and Ryo Hisatsune are the halfway leaders on 15 under par. Bhatia signed for an 8 under 64 on Friday, while Hisatsune signed for a 5 under 67. The closest challengers to those two, well, they're both on 14 under par, and they are the American duo of Ricky Fowler and Sam Burns. A further 2 shot in arrears on 12 under is the Australian Minwoo Lee, the Austrian Sepp Straka, and the US star Jacob Bridgman. Tom Hoagie and Jake Knapp are then on 11 under par, with Matt Fitzpatrick, Patrick Roberts, Keegan Bradley, Hideki Matsuyama, Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth and Nick Taylor all on 10 under. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in cricket, and Ireland have picked up their
Kante and Scholes, with Traore, Lamadrid and Wilson as the attacking 3. It's a 12:15 kickoff, Burton Albion against West Ham United. Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary from the game at the Pirelli Stadium here in Burton-upon-Trent. FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One taking on Premier League West Ham United. And after the pretty much 10 days of non-stop rain we've had across the country, it's actually quite refreshing to have an early kick-off in the bright sunshine, albeit it is a pretty cold day across the country today, but it is certainly a bright day. And Burton Albion, well, they're up against a West Ham side who have made a few changes for an FA Cup game, as you would expect against lower league opposition. But that said, Burton will certainly feel as though if they can take it to West Ham, it's a small, compact ground here in Burton. And I just think that they'll certainly fancy their chances. West Ham can still be quite vulnerable. They've been playing a little bit better in the last month or so, but they're still, I think, a little bit off where Nuno Espirito Santo would like them to be in terms of their form. We have actually got a momentary delay here at the Pirelli Stadium because the net isn't quite fully fastened there by one of the posts. So ground staff are just dealing with that. And hopefully we should be able to get underway in the next minute or so. But it's myself, Paul Shabakovic and Joe Pearson taking you through the action. Joe, big task this for Burton, but not impossible.
No, not indeed. And obviously West Ham are looking to progress to the 5th round. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out. Will they put this Burton side under pressure? Will they get a few goals in and try and maybe finish the game, before the first half? But Burton, if they keep a solid defence and they keep on coming at this West Ham side and score a few goals, maybe it starts to come in for West Ham. The nerves start to come in that they could maybe lose to the League One side and have a big upset.
Well, that will certainly be the hope from the Burton point of view. Just as we're waiting for the game to kick off, a small light aircraft had just flown over the ground with not so friendly message towards the West Ham ownership. And we can see sort of similar banners being waved by, or certainly posters being waved here by West Ham fans in the away end, all to do with the ownership. They're not happy, of course. There have been issues off the field at the London Stadium for a very long time. This is taking a very long time as well. It's unbelievable, really, that you can have this problem. There's basically a hole in the net. As you can imagine, of course, if there is any hole in the net, they have to get it fixed. We all remember that crazy moment when I think it was Reading against Watford, where a ball went through the side netting. The linesman told the referee it had been a goal, and it was given, of course, and we could see on TV within a few seconds that wasn't the case. They don't want anything embarrassing like this now, but this isn't great it's not a great look for Burton, this really, is it?
No, it isn't. You would have thought this had been dealt with before the game. You would have gone round checking the nets. It's only just now that the linesman and the referee have both kind of come over. They have the tug of the nets, they see if there's any holes, and this one has been found. And they're tightening it up here. This time it's really tight, so I don't think that'll be coming loose at any point.
No, it's not. I would just say as well, I mean, that clearly wasn't the head groundsman. That looked like somebody who was borderline work experience there. So maybe they should have got somebody just a little bit more experience of dealing with the net, just to come across and fix it. Now we're getting a close-up of the pitch as well. It's looking, by the corners, it's looking almost barren. There's virtually no grass at all. And Joe, you were saying just before kickoff that they've been covering the pitch to keep it dry, and they've actually had to water it because it got too dry before kickoff.
Yeah, it did. It got really dry before kickoff that they had to put these sprinklers on the field. But clearly in those corners, there is a lot of mud where the grass hasn't grown. I wonder if they've not covered up that corner properly, and that's what's happened there.
Unless it's where the tent is and the water's just flowing off the edge, But whatever's happened there, so that the middle of the park looks absolutely pristine. But the touch lines, if you remember going to watch, this will be before your time, Joe, but if you remember going to watch Football League games in the 80s and the 90s, sort of from March onwards, you're pretty much playing on sand rather than on grass. So it's a sort of similar look to that, but most of the pitch does look very good here. We are finally underway after that 3 or 4 minute delay due to a hole in the net. Just to remind you very quickly of the two sides. For Burton, it is Brad Collins in goal. Then it's a back three of Udoka, Godwin, Malafi, Terence Van Kooten and Jack Armour. The four across the middle are Kieran Lofthouse, George Evans, John McKiernan and Seb Revan, with Suleiman Kribali playing behind Jake Beasley and Tyrese Shade. For West Ham, it is Alphonse Areola in goal, and a back four of Kyle Walker-Peters, Kostas Mavropanos, Max Kilman and Ezra Mayers. The three in midfield are Sangatu Magassa, Mohamedou Kante and Oliver Scarles, with Dama Traore, Kiba Lamadrid and Callum Wilson up front. So it's a mix for West Ham. There's sort of a thread of starting Premier League players, but a few squad players as well. Yeah,
a bit of youth in there as well. So it's good to get these youth players out, because it's good to see how maybe they've developed through the academy, how they're going to come up and maybe face against these sort of sides. It's also good for if you maybe want to send a few out on loan to gain a little bit more experience. You can look at a side like Burton and go, maybe we do want to send him to him. Maybe it's the kind of right system that West Ham want for their younger players, but it's also nice to get them a little bit of fresh legs, get them used to it as well.
No, absolutely, and up against the Burton side, who are definitely going to be up for it. It's going to be a big test for these younger West Ham players as well, as they're in possession now. In the middle of the park are the Hammers, and there's a bit of space in now. Nice bit of work here as well from Traore. Gets on the ball and he plays one out wide towards the right hand side. Walker-Peters will get there, he will keep it in play, holds it up, just rolls it back towards Magassa. Here is Walker-Peters again, just heading back towards the halfway line, with Burton's home kit being a black and yellow number. West Ham, of course, can be in their claret home kits for this afternoon's game, but that ball goes out of play. Just a bit of pressure there for Mavropanos, not just in this game, but in general. I think a lot of the spotlight's been on him in certain games for individual errors, and he's got to prove himself, I think, a little bit as well.
Yeah, he does indeed. He's got to maintain some strength again, this Burton side, because you don't want to be making any mistakes, because they'll be playing quite high up the field. They want to pressure the ball, and that's where defenders do make the mistakes, because they feel a little bit under pressure, and then they're in two minds of whether do I just get this clear, or do I try and be a little bit fancy, play it round the player, and sometimes it doesn't work out at all for them.
No, as I say, from Burton's point of view, they do have two forwards in Beasley and Shade. They've also got Kribali playing behind, so they are hoping that once they get on the ball, they can actually cause some problems. And they're already trying to play long here on the home side. Long ball played up towards Beasley. It's just nodded clear before it's hooked clear now by Scarles up to the halfway line. That's a big header forward, though, from Armour. Taken down here in midfield, but second ball isn't really sticking for Burton in these first few minutes. There's going to be a free kick here to West Ham as well. I would say a bit of a trip there from Beasley on Traore. Traore picking himself up. He's an interesting player, Traore. Certainly in terms of how he's built, he's a really solid unit, one of the quickest players in the league at one time. But there's always been an issue in terms of his distribution, whether it was at Wolves, whether it was at Fulham. Now he's at West Ham. He just can't quite, because for his physical attributes and his skill, he really should be a more regular player.
Yeah, indeed, because he's got that strength, he's got the power to run through defenders. But there's sometimes where he runs it a little bit too far and he's lost the ball, and then he can't quite turn and get it back because of, his size and how heavy he is. It is very difficult to turn and try and run away. He's got the pace to do it, but like I said, it's the it's the turning that could be the issue for him.
No, it really is. And to say that the one thing is that a little bit running down the blind alley when he's just sort of charging down the wing. The other is sometimes perhaps that early ball into the box, and really for his attributes he should be getting a few more goals as well. But the fact that a third Premier League team is taking a chance at him, we know that he is a very good player, and this afternoon certainly he'll be hoping to get on the ball. A long ball was played there by Areola, and he couldn't keep it in play on this occasion. Could the big man Traore, but it's out for a throw to Burton here on the left-hand side. It's a busy day in the FA Cup this afternoon and into this evening. All of it's available on our service as well. This is the only early game in the FA Cup. There are a couple of early games in Leagues 1 and 2 that are kicking off in the next 5 or 6 minutes. But here come Burton now, half a chance here for Lofthouse. Gets towards the edge of the area, he's got players to pick out as well. It's a low cross into the box, takes a deflection, and it can't quite direct it towards goal. It looked to me like it got a nick off Tyrese Shade, and then Beasley couldn't quite get to it, but that's already a warning for West Ham. It was just one quick ball out towards the right-hand side.
It was indeed. Karen Lofthouse, plenty of space. West Ham didn't really deal with him. He had time to run inside of the box, tried to square it back across, and a mistake at the back here from West Ham.
There is a mistake at the back. Now, what's the... well, there was half an appeal for a penalty there as well. It was Oliver Scarles who was working back towards... the ball back towards his own penalty area. There was a suggestion he might have just caught the Burton man as he was trying to do that, but not enough in there for our referee Lewis Smith this afternoon, deciding that's not going to be a penalty, as Mavropanos jumping on top of Shade there, but he knocks the ball out for a throw. It will be a throw. We're going to see this one again. It was missed by Meyers, and then it's not the best header from Scarles. Yeah, he just about gets the ball there, doesn't he? Yeah,
he does indeed. Maybe if Karen Lofthouse had somewhat dinked it away from him and got a touch before Scarles, it would have possibly been a penalty from a leg that's been stuck out, stopping Karen Lofthouse from getting to the ball. But he does manage just in time to get there before it. But yet again, mistake at the back there from Myers. He is a young player. It's one of them where he's not quite got up for the header. Karen Lofthouse, right place, right time.
Oh, he is, and we're just seeing a replay of that earlier chance as well. It was actually the ball coming in from the right-hand side. It was Shade going for goal, and unfortunately from Burton's point of view, unfortunately from West Ham's, the next ball then deflected straight to Kilman, who was able to clear it before it got through to Beasley. But now this is a really good chance for Burton from the left-hand side. They've got a free kick. It was actually given as a free kick, that's a jump from Mavropanos. I thought that was just given as a throw, but it is going to be a chance to get the first set piece into the box. It was a low one. It was aimed at Shade, cleared towards the edge of there, and a shot coming in, and it's wide in the end. But a promising start this from Burton. We've had 7 minutes on the clock, and West Ham have barely had any possession over the halfway line.
Yeah, indeed, it's nice pressure from Burton. This is what I was talking about, putting this West Ham defence under a little bit of pressure. We saw the mistake from Myers early on as well there, but that was a nice free kick. Had it may have come off Shade's head. He sort of ducked down a little bit too low, in fact, to try and flick it on, so he just flicked the top of his hair, and wasn't managed to get onto a Burton player.
No, not on that occasion, but certainly promising signs here for the home side. They wanted a free kick there after a push, what they were saying from Kante. Referee's not interested, but now they go forward down the right-hand side. Scarles puts the challenge in, and he has actually got a deflection back off the Burton man. And so that will be a throw-on. It was McKiernan who was arguing the toss there with the linesman, but it is going to be a throw-on now to West Ham on the left-hand side. It is Ollie Scarles now to try and restart play. Bit of distance on this one. It's just over the head of Wilson. The ball's gone straight back towards the West Ham penalty area. Mavropanos finding Scarles, and he clears this one long towards the halfway line, headed forward here by Van Kooten. A little bit of work here for West Ham. Burton are getting the second ball. Just as I said, in the first few minutes, Burton couldn't really put any pressure on West Ham. They really are doing it now, and a long ball into the box. Was there a push there on Beasley? Well, the referee was very quick to wave that away there, Lewis Smith, like there's no chance. Looking at it live, it seemed like a weird way for Beasley to fall, and now there might be half a chance for West Ham as Wilson headed it on, but the loose ball doesn't reach Traore. Now here's a chance for Revan down the left-hand side. Gets a low ball into the box as well, but that's a good save. Low down there from Areola. What do we think of this? Was there a shout for a penalty?
Well, we'll have another look. It's a lovely ball inside of the box. For me there, Beasley has got on the right side of his man there, trying to beat him. And yeah, it is. he's no way. It's gone straight through the back of Beasley. I think it's Kilman who's come across, and he's just gone straight into the back of Beasley there. He's not going to get to the ball. Beasley's going to chest that down before he even tries to touch it. But for me there, that's a penalty all day. The referee had a glance at his linesman as well.
The referee gave a free kick earlier in this game for Mavropanos climbing on top of Shade when he was trying to head the ball. Now, many referees wouldn't even give that as a foul. And when you think that that's a deliberate shove in the back, it really does annoy me sometimes that same kind of contact on the halfway line would always get you a free kick, and yet big shove in the back when it's like a ball into the box and the referee hasn't got the sort of the bravery to give that. He should have given that, really, for me. I mean, it looked like if this game had VAR, I think they'd be asking the referee to have a look at it, but it's played back now towards the goalkeeper, Ariola. Coming up to 10 minutes on the clock. West Ham still not really able to register any kind of attacking threat in these early stages, but it may be that Nuno has warned his players that Burton are going to be up for it from the first minute. If you can survive 10, 15, 20 minutes and get into the game, potentially then the lower league side might start making mistakes.
Yeah, indeed. If you can tire them out a little bit, let them have this, 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so of just coming at you, and you can hold your own, really. That's when players there, they start to drop off a little bit, they start to get a little bit tired, so we might be seeing West Ham sort of come into their own a little bit. But can Burton get a goal, it might set the game a little bit different for West Ham, because then Burton will continue, they'll gain a little bit of confidence, whether West Ham might feel a little bit shaken up by it.
No, absolutely. I think a goal for either side really does change the game. If Burton score, then immediately West Ham are under pressure going down to a third division side. If West Ham score, then Burton immediately under pressure for the Premier League side, getting an early lead. So it really is so vital to get that first goal. As proving our point there, unfortunately, was Adama Traore. Got a little bit too far down that right-hand side and then across that just sails out for a goal kick.
Yeah, indeed. Plenty of players in the West Ham box for him to sort of aim at, but he doesn't. We're just going to see it again. It's Mavropanos, actually, who just runs into the back of Beasley there. He doesn't have his eyes on the ball. He has his eyes on the man. And for me there, the referee has got to give that. He waves it off. I think maybe he gets a whisper in his ear from the linesman, but for me, it's a penalty.
It is a penalty, and look at the reaction of Gary Bowyer as well. I mean, Gary Bowyer is a very measured sort of manager. Of course, he shows his emotions just like anybody else when he's unhappy. But there, he was absolutely screaming from his angle on the halfway line from the dugout. He knew that was a penalty, and with every replay that we see, it looks more and more like a penalty. It's a big risk there from Mavropanos, and as I say, whoever's marking Lewis Smith's refereeing performance should put a little note there saying he didn't have the nerve to give the decision he should have done. But here come Burton now. They win the ball back, and just at the edge of the area, just holding onto that a little bit too long there was Tyrese Shade. West Ham now have it back. Referee actually gets in the way of West Ham there, but Kante just about finds Skulls. He's under pressure. Oh, has he trodden on the ball? No, he's lost the ball, and there's half a chance here now for Evans charging towards the edge of the area. Ball now played towards Shade. He takes a touch, and he takes one touch too many. Tries to go for it with the left foot. It's a sliding challenge there from Walker Peters that wins it back, and then he's trying to show off a little bit too much. There is Shade. A back heel there to Revan, which was under hit, and now all of a sudden it opens up for Adama Traore, and he's charging through the middle. Lays that ball off towards Wilson. Wilson on the right-hand side of the box. Drills it low, but there's a delayed offside. Wasted chance there in the end for West Ham, but the game now suddenly getting end to end. Yeah,
indeed, lovely play by Burton down the other end. It was really good from Krubali, who just managed to get away from a few of the West Ham players, and they started to drop off. And me, for there, I would have liked to take the confidence from him and just have that shot, have the confidence to do so. Instead, he played it onto that left-hand side for Shade. He took one too many touches trying to get it onto his left foot and try the strike, whether actually if he'd pinged it towards the far post, players there like Jake Beasley were arriving.
They were indeed, and that West Ham counter, that was wasted really. It was just a short ball from Traore, and Wilson was always a step offside. But it's a very good point you make about that last attack for Burton. They're getting more confident because they're seeing more of the ball in the West Ham half, and just getting more shots of the West Ham fans. They're at the moment more focused on giving their owners a little bit of grief. They've got their posters out this afternoon, trying to just get a message across. Interesting enough, just looking at one of the update pages that we use for our stats in our starting 11s, they currently have Mavropanos as a 9.2. I suppose that's because he got away with not giving away a penalty, but risky one there, I think, from Mavropanos. He's already been put under a lot of pressure as a foul there on Krubali, just on the halfway line. Free kick to Burton. Say West Ham won't worry too much at this stage. The idea is that they probably knew that there was going to be a bit of a reaction from the lower league side playing at home. They really want to sort of get into this game, but the The longer it stays 0-0, the more you feel that West Ham could get back into the game. See Gary Bowyer there, very experienced manager at this level. Giving a bit of a look across to the referee, who's say he's going to be a marked man here in Burton after that decision, or lack of decision. Long ball now played by Van Kooten towards the edge of the area, headed on before it's volleyed clear by Mavropanos, and then it's played up in the air by Magassa up towards the halfway line, headed forward here by Godwin Malafi. Still half a chance here for Burton, but West Ham win it back, although La Madrid is caught in possession. It's played quickly towards the edge of the area, back out towards Godwin Malafi. Could have played it into the box a bit quicker, but the ball finally does reach the penalty area. It's played square this time. It's Kante that gets himself in the way. Ball cleared back into midfield, but there's no outlet for West Ham. Burton coming straight back again down the right-hand side. It's a strong challenge, and it's out for a throw to Burton. This is good from the home side.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's really nice pressure, and West Ham are dropping back in numbers, which means they've not really got anybody to aim it upfield. Callum Wilson is staying up there, but for me, he's not really quick enough to try and get round the defenders. He's got to wait for his wingers, but his wingers are inside of the box, so it's going to take a while for them to get back up the field. And if Burton can keep this sort of pressure on, and this is why they're kind of picking up the balls as well from West Ham trying to clear it.
Well, they are. I mean, it just seems to be that for the time being, whatever. Well, the referee is now waiting to stop play. I'm not quite sure why. I think there may have been an issue with, is there something in the crowd? I don't know. But now the referee is just telling everyone to. Right, what's going on here? We're trying to work it out. Anyway, he called over Godwin Malafi there for a second, but it looks like everything is okay. We can now play on. Very difficult to know exactly what the issue was there, but it's Tyree Shade with a long throw, a very long throw in fact. It ends up inside the 6-yard box. Just couldn't quite sit up for anyone in a Burton shirt, and it's eventually just skewed wide for a goal kick. But yes, more of the same from Burton. They got West Ham rattled for the time being. Yeah,
indeed, really nice long throw in there as well. It wasn't dealt with by West Ham. It was sort of high up in the air and then sort of dropped down quite quickly, and it's always one of them for defenders that is a bit of a struggle, because you don't want to try and header it and it come off the back of your head. That causes Areola maybe some issues there as well, but nobody in a Burton could either get onto the ball as well. So it was unfortunate for Burton, but fortunate for West Ham that nobody could get onto the end of it.
No, I say West Ham have been riding their luck a couple of times. I think with the penalty decision, they certainly got a little bit lucky there. Different referee, different day. I think that would have been given. But other than that, there've been a couple of half chances for Burton, a couple of decent balls into the box. West Ham have had one counter-attack, really, and that's after the nearly 17 minutes. They're in possession now, but it's on the halfway line with Kante. La Madrid, Venezuelan forward, to make a name for himself here in the English League. Good chance for him today with this start, but he's barely had a touch of the ball so far. It's Kilman now going back towards Areola. Kilman now in towards Magassa. West Ham just need to inject a little bit more pace into it, but Burton are playing a high offside line, so they're making it difficult for West Ham in terms of doing anything inside their half, and that's a poor ball there from Magassa, just gives it straight away. Half a chance here now as that ball is played down the left. Doesn't quite reach its intended target though. Here is Mavropanos back towards Areola. Goalkeeper again doesn't want to clear it long because there's not much space there for West Ham over the halfway liner to work with, and Burton are pressing very high up the field as well.
Yeah, indeed. I'd like them maybe to pressure a little bit higher on to the defenders, try and force that mistake, but I guess they're just trying to pick it off in midfield and then pick it off, because all West Ham are doing at the moment, they're trying to play it out wide to Adama Traore. They're not really using this left-hand side of La Madrid. He's not really had a touch of the ball. I'd like to see him sort of get involved in the game, because West Ham, for me, are just trying to pass it into Adama Traore, use his strength, but I mean, Jack Armour is really holding his own.
He is. Armour's doing very well, but just as we say that, West Ham did have a throw after that long ball was cleared, and the ball now played into the penalty area is cleared out for a corner. So after a really good start this from Burton, 18 minutes of them pretty much being exclusively on top, West Ham now have a set piece, excuse me, and a chance to try and test this Burton defence, and they have got some height as well in this West Ham team, so Burton are really going to have to be in and amongst it here as this ball is going to be whipped in from the right-hand side. Just trying to see who the corner kick taker is going to be. It's interesting, isn't it? Now the referee comes into the 6-yard box to tell the players not to push and shove. That was a Burton player. I said, why not, ref? You let the West Ham players shove us before, so why do we need to worry about it? But corner kick now to West Ham from the right-hand side. and it is going to be a left-footed in-swinging ball here from Skulls, and he really does lift it. It's heading towards goal. That needed that header away. I think it was Beasley with the header right on the line to stop that corner kick going in directly. Now it's Traore keeping the ball alive here for West Ham down the left-hand side. Just a short ball in towards La Madrid. There's an overlap here, and into the penalty area goes Magassi. Goes down too easy. The referee was already saying no penalty before any West Ham player have had a chance to look at him. It's cleared to the halfway line where Mayers had stayed back as one of the last two alongside Walker Peters, and now Kante out towards the right-hand side. Skulls is still there, having taken the corner. It's Walker Peters. He now lifts the ball into the box, which is headed clear by Armour. Second ball picked up here by Kante, but it's cleared over the halfway line. If this gets through to Shady, may still have a chance, but Walker Peters is covering. But decent chance. That was a great corner from Skulls, and he scored.
Yeah, it was indeed, and that's because Callum Wilson's on the defender there. He's sort of pushing the defender into Brad Collins, who then can't quite get the jump up into the air, because you could see him try and move for the ball and try and get the jump off, but he couldn't quite do it to try and punch the ball away, and he was very thankful. He's got to thank Jake Beasley, who was at the back stick there to header that one away, because that was dipping. It could have come off the inside of the post, and then it's a free-for-all on the line.
Well, it certainly is, and so a bit of a mistake there at the back from Evans. George Evans just covering in defence. He almost gave away a corner, but really it looked like he was odds on just to control it and clear it. But the second gets rid of that ball. It's out for a throw. West Ham have taken it quickly. There's going to be an advantage here for Burton, because that was a really late challenge there. The referee has allowed play to go on. I think we may have to have a stoppage here now, because the Burton player is still down. So yeah, the ball has now gone out of play. Shea deliberately knocking it out. I just wondered if there might be a delayed yellow card here, because Krubali was really caught there. Yeah,
he really was. He was going to get away as well. I would have liked to see Burton do more, but for me there, Skulls, bit of studs up there.
What, if he's Christian Romero, he gets a red card for that,
doesn't
he?
Yeah, he does. Maybe a yellow card. I think the referee's kind of got to book him for that sort of challenge, because he's gone up, he's gone in there, it studs up. If any higher, and we see that it's VAR, if it's any higher, it could be a red.
Yeah, I think that he's got away with one there, Skulls, that's for sure. And a slightly worried look on the manager of the on the face of the West Ham manager here, Nuno Espirito Santo. He'll know that he's under big pressure. It's a hugely supported club, and they've not been happy for some time. So maybe if they'd have been a little bit more praised, maybe if they'd have praised their European Cup winning manager a bit more, they wouldn't be in this situation now. But that's obviously just a tongue-in-cheek comment. Obviously there's a lot more to it than that, and there's issues in terms of the stadium, in terms of the spending, the recruitment. But West Ham fans aren't happy. They might even be less happy now, because here come Burton. It's a great run down the left. The ball in from Lofthouse is just in between three Burton players. On another day that would have found one and it would have been a target, but now Armour comes in on the overlap. He tries to put a cross in, having been put in by Revan. The ball eventually deflects back off the Burton number 3 and out for a corner. But you have to say the energy level, the will to play here from Burton is really good.
Yeah, it is indeed. Lovely ball down this right-hand side. And Skulls here is being a little bit overrun by Kyron Lofthouse on this right-hand side. It's really good play yet again. He gets round the back of Skulls, and all he has to do is whip it in, and he tries to rip it in. McKinnon was in there trying to run through towards that 6-yard box, and it was just a little bit behind him. He couldn't really stick a leg out because he had a defender coming in as well. Didn't want to quite give away that free kick had he tripped up the defender, and then it just goes past behind everybody. And at the moment, West Ham are getting really fortunate that nobody's ending up on the end of these.
No, absolutely. There's been one there's been a ball headed down into the 6-yard box which just eluded a Burton player. There's been 2 balls flashed across the 6-yard box which have just missed Burton players as well, so on, and they've had a very good shout for a penalty. So all that combined, I think Burton can regard themselves as very unlucky to still be at 0-0 in this game, and perhaps the Premier League side should count themselves as lucky to still be at 0-0 now. But is there a little bit of on-pitch retribution here, because Oliver Skulls has been caught, and he's been caught above the ankle here. I don't think there's any issue in terms of the referee thinking about a yellow or a red card, but the West Ham man is down, and this gives me a chance to hand over, because we're over the halfway mark in this first half. 23.5 minutes gone. It is goalless between Burton and West Ham, and here is Joe to take us through to half time.
Yeah, let's have another look at this again. not seeing much in there from Kyron Lofthouse on the ankle. I wonder if Scowls on the turn there has maybe kind of fallen over onto the ankle, twisted it a little bit. Because for me there, Kyron Lofthouse, he doesn't seem to go up with studs up, and he doesn't seem to really take out Scowls at all. So I wonder if it's just a little, he's trying to twist around, and the ankle's got a bit twisted there. But obviously physios are onto the field, so he will have to take 30 seconds off. But he does look in some pain.
He does, yeah. I mean, it's. I think I agree that there's probably no intent there from Lofthouse, although they may have a little bit of a mark against Scowls for that challenge a few minutes earlier, but on Crew Bally. But for the time being, he's being checked over. Gives us a chance to see a slightly wider shots of the Pirelli Stadium. It's just it's near the sort of main road. If you've ever been to Burton upon Trent, you do sort of drive past it as you're going in and out of the town. Surprise, of course, they're nicknamed the Brewers, with beer brewing being a huge industry in Burton back in the day, and still is obviously to this day. So yeah, lovely sunshine as well above the stadium. It's nice to see. It's a cold day across England today, but it is a sunny day, which is a nice break after what we've seen over the past 10 days or so. Plenty of FA Cup action at 3 p.m. today. Burnley, Mansfield, Man City, Salford, Norwich against West Brom, and Southampton against Leicester. I wonder if it would be as crazy as the Leicester-Southampton game we saw earlier in the week, where Leicester were 3-0 up at half-time against Southampton and somehow managed to lose that game 4-3 in the last 10 minutes. Absolute madness in that game. But so we're back underway with the ball now cleared towards the edge of the West Ham penalty area.
Yeah, indeed. Myers there takes the last touch off of Beasley and goes out for a throw-in. He seems to be a dominant force, Beasley, with this Burton side at the moment. He's going up for headers. Oh, sorry, he went out for a goal kick off of Beasley. So he will quickly take this, will Areola, to try and get his team rolling. But just back to Beasley. He's just going for every single ball, and it's good. It's really nice to see, because he is putting the defenders under a lot of pressure. He
is, yeah. I mean, I suppose we mainly commentate on Premier League games, don't we? So it's quite refreshing to see a front two, really. You don't see that very often in the Premier League these days. But Burton very much having two strikers. Both of them have a bit of pace about them. Both of them have got a bit of size about them as well. And that's a different sort of proposition to the sort of attackers that West Ham would be facing week to week as well.
Yeah, indeed. Sometimes with the Premier League games, it's one striker. They don't want to put that little bit of pressure on. So some Premier League teams are used to just having that one striker with no pressure. So the defenders have a little bit more time on the ball. Whether in League One it is a little bit more fast-paced. They like to have a few more players up there to try and force the mistake of the goalkeeper. And it's working here for Burton. They have a throw-in on this left-hand side, inside the West Ham half. It will be Jack Armour to take it. Quickly plays it into McKiernan then, but has to go back to Evans. Evans has to be quick there. He had Magassa coming in just behind him. Ball is played back to Brad Collins, who will launch it long downfield onto his right-hand side. He's aiming for Beasley. Beasley's been beaten in the air, though. It falls to Kyron Lofthouse. Brilliant footwork from him on that left-hand side. Finds Crew Bally, and then Evans tries to and get McKiernan down this right-hand side moving, but it takes the touch off of the West Ham man in Kante, so it will be a throw-in for Burton. I think it'll be a long throw-in inside of the box then. Shade has gone over to take this one. As we know before, it does sort of loop up into the air and quickly drop down. I think he'll be hoping for another one of them inside of the 6-yard box. So we'll see what he tries to do here. Plenty of West Ham players back. It is long, but it's towards that near post. Magassa gets up into the air first. Mavropanos then takes it down nicely and hacks it away. Brilliant from him. Brilliant touch as well from Mavropanos to try and clear that ball downfield. But yet again, there's no outlet for West Ham. He's launched it long downfield, and it's just ended up back up with Burton.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite incredible, really. 28 minutes into an FA Cup game where West Ham are just clearing the ball anywhere to get it away from a League One side who's attacking them. And it just goes to show that West Ham obviously feel there's a threat from Burton in the air, because they're not prepared to have Wilson or anybody else waiting up the field for a quick counter. Now, just as I was saying all of that, West Ham have given away a free kick in a very good position.
Yeah, La Madrid just clipping Crew Bally there. for me, it's a bit of a silly challenge. Well, it's both actually. La Madrid and Magassa both go in onto the Burton man. That's high from Magassa there.
Yeah, West Ham are playing with raised boots here. I don't know if this is just the fact that it's a lower league ground and they sort of feel like they have to be that little bit more physical. But there's been a couple of challenges. Skulls put in a challenge before, which wasn't great, and that's reckless there from Magassa. It really is.
Yeah, I think a few of them are lucky not to get yellow cards here as well. Obviously, with the penalty shout earlier on, we'll see a 4-man wall with La Madrid on the floor just behind the wall, so making sure that they can't play this one low towards the ground. Revan stands over it, so does Jake Beasley. I think it will be Beasley the man to take it then. He's looking to dip it over the wall. He does so, takes a deflection off the wall. However, though, Areola chasing down for it, but it goes out for a corner kick. That one was never troubling. It was Evans, actually, the free kick taker. That one was never really troubling Areola because it didn't quite have the height.
No, once it deflected off the wall, Areola knew the ball was going nowhere near the goal. The only thing he was scrambling for was to see if he could avoid the corner, but the deflection was a little bit too big, so he couldn't avoid it. There's going to be an in-swinger now here from Seb Revan.
Yeah, Revan then stands over this one, down by the muddied corner flag then. Will in-swing it towards the far post. Headers go up, it's back across the face of the goal. Beasley goes up for it. He's beaten in the air by Mavropanos, and it's hacked away by West Ham, but yet again no outlet for them. La Madrid and Adama Traore will chase it down, but it goes back towards Brad Collins in net for Burton, who yet again tries to get this one long downfield. Revan here has gone down with a little bit of a, I believe it to be a thigh injury, and this one doesn't look good for Burton Albion because he's in pain, and I think maybe he'll have to be substituted here.
Has he done this one? He's been taking the corner. Has he felt a twinge maybe? Because he certainly wasn't challenged by anyone. He's basically gone to the corner of the pitch to take the corner, to whip the set piece in, and then as the ball's cleared and then play back. We'll have a look at him here as he's taken the corner. Yeah, I think he's felt that twinge straight away, hasn't he? And when this ball is cleared, he just suddenly decides he's not going to be able to play on, and he doesn't even sit down, he lies down straight away. So I think he's done that, taking the corner kick.
Yeah, I think he has, because he then tries to sort of run it off in some of a jog, really, and then he quickly feels it on the back of the left thigh, and then he just goes down, lies down. I think he knows. It looks like Toby Sibic will be replacing him. Well, it's one that you don't want to lose early within this game. You don't want to make that substitution early, but they're going to have to here. So Brad Collins, Karen Lofthouse and Toby Sibic, former Barnsley players, are now all together onto the field. There's also Jasper Moon as well on the bench if they really wanted to put all 5 Barnsley players onto the field, former Barnsley players, all linking up. But it will be Toby Sibic to replace Revan there, and he's not had a bad game so far. I don't think he's been used as much as Kyron Lofthouse, but the corner kick taker will have to be taken off the field here.
Yeah, he's going to have to go off him. And is this a like for like? Will Sibic just slot into that left-hand side role?
Well, he plays as well somewhat of a defensive holding midfielder, so I wonder if maybe he goes into that sort of spot. You put maybe Evans out onto that right back spot. Not entirely sure how they're going to switch it up here. He can play right back, but he does tend to play midfield.
He does. He's quite a tall player as well, is Sibic, so that's certainly going to be an extra threat from any aerial balls that Burton do get. It's a shame that, though, for Revan. He would have been looking forward to this game, of course, live on television. Any family that aren't at the ground would have been watching at home, but he's going to have to go off early. But he certainly leaves his side in a good place, because Burton are looking okay. But here come West Ham now on the attack. The ball into the penalty area is just behind Callum Wilson.
It is indeed. Good defending in the end by Burton, because Callum Wilson was away there and through one-on-one with Brad Collins, who now will try and launch it long downfield, yet again put the defenders under a little bit of trouble. Mavropanos tries to head it away, but it ends up back with McKeon, and lovely by Beasley to flick it round the back. Evans can't quite get onto the end of it. Shade can, though. Tries to turn away from Walker Peters, does manage, tries the shot off, takes the deflection off of Walker Peters. Beasley then manages to chest it down, falls to Evans, back out to Shade. He'll try the shot. Areola's diving for it in the end, though. Comfortable save, but it was bobbling. It's one of them that it might bobble up over him, but it was comfortable for him in the end.
The shot in the end was comfortable, but it certainly wasn't comfortable for those West Ham defenders in the seconds leading up to it. A couple of bouncing balls they couldn't deal with first time, and again just a long clearance from West Ham. They're hoping that either and then an offside flag against Wilson goes up as well. So the referee's taken a few seconds longer to spot that, but right now West Ham are just about absorbing the pressure that Burton are throwing on them, but they're not doing anything in response at all.
Yeah, indeed, and you feel like Burton need the 10 minutes or so just to have a relaxation, because they've put all this pressure on. There is a free kick here yet again. Magassa goes just into the back of the player McKiernan, and it will be a free kick just on the near the edge of the box. It's a silly one from Magassa again, blocking McKiernan's path. Walker Peters is right behind him. There's no real need for that challenge to really be put in there.
No, it's just that knee-jerk reaction of seeing a player and wanting to stop him without sort of thinking exactly how this is going to, how much pressure this could potentially puts on your side. But we saw Evans taking a free kick, which took a deflection off the wall. This time he's in a far wider position, so it's more of a set piece to try and pick out a teammate.
Yeah, indeed. Jake Beasley is up against Myers there. Maybe goes towards the far post like he has been doing. Ball is inside, but Areola, comfortable catch. Beasley was rising in front of him to try and distract him, but in the end, Areola very comfortable within the air. Comfortable catch for him. Tries to get his team going there, but he was finding his pathway blocked by the Burton player, so has to roll it out onto his left-hand side for Max Kilman then. Kilman plays it into Magassa. Magassa tries to go forward with it, also finds his pathway blocked. Yet again, West Ham have not got out of their own half. Myers finally makes a run on this left-hand side to do so, and Kante has to go back though towards Mavropanos. Mavropanos then plays it onto Walker Peters on this right-hand side. There's movement by the West Ham players, but they just seem to find their pathway blocked by a wall of black and yellow every single time. There's always a man trying to get the ball back for Burton. It's lovely play by them, and maybe this is the time that they sort of rest, put a little bit of pressure on them, and just rest themselves for the time being. 5 shots to goal, 2 on target, 3 off target. There has been 0 for West Ham that have tried to break down the Burton defence, and that's just the pressure that Burton are putting on them at the moment.
They are. I mean, the only thing I would tweak with that stat slightly is that West Ham almost scored direct from a corner, which probably doesn't count as a shot as such, and it probably doesn't count as a chance, but with all of that combined, that's just a little detail. The fact is that after 35.5 minutes, West Ham, the Premier League side, have not had any kind of official effort on goal against the Burton side, and it's worth noting that Burton aren't exactly flying high in League One either, so it just goes to show that really the home side are really up for this, and West Ham just haven't quite gotten into the flow of the game at all.
Yeah, it's the same Burton side that's not won in their last 5 league games. They lost to Doncaster, Bolton and Lincoln, and drew with Port Vale and Cardiff. Obviously the Cardiff draw is a big one, you know what I mean? They're top of the table, and they're flying higher, Cardiff, this season really. So to get a draw with the league leaders is impressive. Maybe that gave them a little bit of hope inside their team. And this game, you know, going into the second half, we've got 10 minutes left here. It's still Burton 0, West Ham 0, and maybe going into the second half, get back into the dressing room, have that little relaxation for 15 minutes or so. Maybe get them, you know, try and get the massages in, relax the legs a little bit. There'll be some tired legs out onto that field. They've already made a substitution, which they probably didn't want to make this early, but Revan was injured, had a slight twinge on the back of the left thigh by the hamstring. So for me, Burton, they've just got to relax a little bit.
They do, and I think it's that balance of not being sort of too tense and then potentially sort of calling out your own mistake, but then also not being too relaxed either. So we could see some very disgruntled East Londoners there in the away end, looking very, very frustrated are the West Ham fans here in Burton this afternoon, and really have had very little to shout about in this game, but now potentially chancing for Madrid.
Yeah, indeed. He plays it into Callum Wilson. He'll try his shot from distance. Brad Collins there. Comfortable catch for him. It was bending in, but he just takes that step towards his left-hand side, and it's a comfortable catch for him in the end. Then you can see what they're doing. It's lovely pass there. It actually comes off of the Burton man. Takes the deflection into the path of Callum Wilson, Godwin Malif. So yet again, it's a little bit lucky that it's come off of the Burton player. But for me, that Callum Wilson's got to be doing a little bit better.
He does have to be doing a little bit better. But what's been given here now? Because there was a shot coming in from Wilson, saved by the goalkeeper. And now, all of a sudden, we're getting a free kick to West Ham. I mean, we'll say we're still getting replays of the earlier chance, and now Gary Bowyer is asking the questions of the fourth official, because the Burton bench aren't too sure about this either.
No, neither is Brad Collins, the goalkeeper, or Toby Sibic. They both seemed confused at each other there, and yet again, Callum Wilson. Well, it's a corner actually. So I'm not entirely sure. I think maybe Brad Collins had played the ball a little bit too quickly and it's gone out, but the corner has really come to nothing. Magassa on the edge of the box right hand side will try and play it back into Kante, but yet again it's just hacked away long downfield. It was looking for shade. Krubali will try and send him long down this right hand side, but in the end goes out for a West Ham throw in there. And yet again, Callum Wilson, he seems to be a presence around that 6-yard box, trying to make sure that Brad Collins doesn't try and come out and catch it.
No, he is. I think that, that there's always that. If you can try and distract a goalkeeper, if you can try and make it a little bit more difficult for him to go for the ball. Obviously, he'll be under pressure as well, Collins, knowing that he's up against higher league opposition today. So anything you can do just to try and unsettle him is always going to be worth it from West Ham's point of view, as they win the ball back now in midfield, but still no easy route to goal for them so far. Yeah,
indeed. And they have to play it back towards Mavropanos, who tries to play it out to Myers there. It's silly from Mavropanos. He's got to do a little bit better, especially if you're playing it diagonally across your defenders. Myers there, he was never going to reach. That goes out for a throw in. Nuno Espirito Santo, arms folded, and really does not look happy with the way his side have played within this first half. We've got 5 minutes or so plus additional time left to go within this first half. Ball is played back in field by Burton, but Godwin Malif there couldn't find anybody in a black and yellow shirt. Shade here will run down the ball, and Areola has got to be quick out there to try and hack this one away. He's hacked it downfield towards Callum Wilson, just inside of the Burton half. Ball is played to Magassa, and he tries to turn away from Shardy. Finds his pathway blocked by Beasley, but it's really good footwork from him in the end. But the pass is a shameful one by Magassa. He manages to pick it back up within midfield. Lost out by Burton from a few heavy touches here. Myers will have possession of the ball. It's with Kante now. Kante manages to turn away nicely from Shade, plays it into the path of Callum Wilson. Ball on his right hand side then for Adama Traore. Sibic's doing well to sort of hold him up here. Ball is played through by Kante, trying to look for Walker Peters, but miscommunication there, and Jack Armour does really well to kick it out for a throw in. He wants a free kick on that left hand side by the corner flag. He was saying he was bundled over and put off balance by Walker Peters, but the linesman didn't seem to think so. So it will be a throw in then for West Ham on this right hand side. And for me, Adama Traore not really doing much within this first half, even though they're aiming it towards him on the right hand side.
No, he hasn't had too many opportunities. I mean, La Madrid on the other side hasn't done too much either. The fact is West Ham just haven't been in attack for long enough for us to have a sort of good sample size, if you like. But really, on the few occasions where they have got onto the ball, they haven't done enough with it. Traore's wasted a couple of chances with through balls and crosses. And yeah, I mean, now West Ham are finally seeing a bit more possession, but it's taken nearly 40 minutes.
Yeah, indeed, and I think that's because Burton now getting a little bit tired within this first half. Long ball through is to Magassa. He tries to turn away from his man. He's found Callum Wilson though, back towards Kante. Plays it out to Walker Peters on the right hand side. He tries to turn away from his man, finds Adama Traore. Adama Traore takes a bit of a heavy touch there, manages to keep control of the ball, heads inside the Burton box, finds his pathway blocked. Kante with the shot, and I think that's gone over the roof of the stand then. It's a poor one from Kante. It leads too far back, and it stops the West Ham counter, and Nuno Espirito Santo is not happy with that one.
He's not impressed at all there, Nuno, that's for sure. I mean, it takes a little bit of a scuff off the turf, but I'm not going to give him too much of an excuse, because he's side-footing that with his when he's leaning back, his head is up. As I say, I mean, anyone who's ever seen me play football would know that I'm not exactly technically any good, but even I could see that was going to go over even before he hit it. It wasn't good from West Ham's point of view, and it just sums up what's been a very, very difficult half. We saw a protest plane flying overhead in the first minute. We've seen West Ham fans putting up red cards with messages to the owners, and I think some of that does get to the players. I know that people say, oh, players just get on the pitch and get on with it, but if your own fans are sort of preoccupied with other stuff, then it does kind of affect what the players are doing as well.
It does indeed. Evans has got away from a few challenges here. Plays it on to Beasley on this left-hand side. He'll try the shot. Oh, it's come off of the hand of Max Kilman. The referee doesn't seem to think so. Play on then. Kyron Lofthouse down the right-hand side. Tries to get away from Magassa. Scales does really well and puts it out for a throw in here, and I hope we see a replay of that, because it looked like Kilman's arm. The referee is saying it's on his back, but for me there it looks like it hits his arm.
Yeah, well, this time the referee is commenting straight away, saying it's just hit his back. Well, I'll tell you what, We weren't happy with the referee earlier when we thought he could have given Burton a penalty. This time we have to say he's got it absolutely spot on. There is an arm out from Kilman, but it never hits his arm.
It doesn't indeed, but it will be a throw-in in a dangerous position. I think Scarles has got to stop putting them out for a throw-in, because Shade really likes these long throw-ins, and this time he's got it towards that 6-yard box. Magassa manages to win it in the end. Then it comes back out to Shade down by the corner flag. He just hits it off of Scarles and goes back out for another throw-in, which he'll be happy about. Then it's another long one to try and get inside of the box behind the West Ham fans. Then ball is played, headed on by Kyron Lofthouse. Areola leaps up into the air though to calmly bring it down, and away goes Kante on this right hand side. Then if he looks towards his left hand side, he can switch it to La Madrid, and instead he goes for the wrong option, tries to play it to his right hand side instead, which sets Evans down this left hand side. Evans will continue his run on to Sibic. Sibic is trying to battle up with Kante, does really well there and wins the throw in, does Toby Sibic. That is brilliant battling.
Superb, yeah, never gave up on it, and made sure that he was forcing the West Ham player to actually commit into a challenge, and in the end wins his side a throw in an attacking position, which we know can be a dangerous weapon. And he's not exactly rushing across here, is Tyrese Shade, but he's going to come over to take this throw and try and test his West Ham defence again.
Indeed, just giving him a little bit of time to set up then. And he's still not taking the throw in at the moment, only just picked up the ball on that left-hand side. Like I said, waiting for his players to line up. He tries to drill it in, catch West Ham off guard, but Walker-Peters was quick to react to it. McKiernan onto Shade. Shade will play it back to McKiernan. Lovely step overs there. Lovely ball back to Shade. They're calling for an offside, but the ball inside isn't the best in the end, and it goes out for a throw in. But I think he has been pulled back for the offside flag. Yes, he has, but it's good play there by Burton, especially on the left hand side. It's just a shame him and well, actually there he's not offside. He's not offside as Shade. Mavropanos is miles playing him on there, and the linesman has got that all wrong.
He has, yep. The linesman's not covered himself in glory there. The officials haven't in this first half, to be fair. There have been a few decisions that have gone against Burton, which are questionable to say the least, and that would have been very frustrating for Gary Burrow. But we're into 4 minutes of added time.
Indeed, as the ball is tried to be played, especially down this left-hand side towards Shade. Doesn't work out, takes the last touch off of a West Ham man then, and we'll go out for a throw-in on the left-hand side then, which it will be taken by Jack Armour, I believe. And they're just resetting themselves at the moment. Ball is trying to be thrown into Beasley. He's one in the air by Mavropanos. Tries to set away Callum Wilson down the right side. It's good battle in there, and he's held up nicely by Armour, but the ball long downfield isn't the best one looking for Beasley, and Mavropanos will quickly and coolly collect that one and pass it back towards his goalkeeper Areola then. Areola quick to play it out onto this right hand side, and they're playing it quickly out from the back, West Ham, but they're not doing anything with it in the end.
No, they're not. That's the problem, is that when they're trying to kickstart something in this game. I mean, both sides, I think, need half-time. Burton just need to be given a few plan B and plan C's as to what to do if their sort of initial plan of pressing against West Ham doesn't work. But West Ham, they need to rethink everything here. I would expect there to be some sort of midfield change for West Ham in the break as well.
Yeah, indeed. Ball long downfield it goes, looking for Callum Wilson. It's picked up by Adama Traore. Traore heads down this left-hand side, finds Scarles. He tries to get his head up and look inside the box. Kyron Lofthouse there, brilliant block, and manages to put it out for a throw-in. It's quickly taken by Scarles into La Madrid then. He didn't seem to want the ball or expect it at all, so it was a quick touch from him to take it away from the Burton defender, as La Madrid then gets the ball back and tries to flick it on to Callum Wilson. He goes down underneath the challenge. Areola has come out for the ball, and will quickly play it into Kilman. La Madrid is back up towards his feet then. Ball is played towards Adama Traore. It might go out here. It hasn't. He's kept it in. Tries to in-swing it. Header comes in the end then from George Evans, and McKinnon can be set away down this left-hand side. Plays it a little bit too quickly into Shade, and Jake Beasley there really wanted that ball through the middle instead. Wrong option.
Yeah, he's frustrated there, Beasley. He's still got his arm up, looking back towards one of his teammates, saying, well, look where I am. And so, yeah, just a bit of frustration now from Burton, because they can see it's just that little bit more difficult now for the home side to get on the ball, so that every time they do win possession, that pass is just that bit more important.
Yeah, indeed. Ball played into Adama Traore. It turns nicely away from his man in Evans. Evans will still chase him down, though. It's good defending in the end, but Adama Traore has managed to get away. Tries to play it into La Madrid on this left-hand side, but it's a poor one in the end and goes out for a throw-in then to Burton, which they're happy about. It's inside of their own half and they can time waste a little bit here. We've got about 30 seconds left to be played until the half-time whistle gets blown by the referee. The ball is flicked on then by Kyron Lofthouse, goes out for another throw-in to Burton Albion, who yet again play it long downfield. Myers manages to keep it in there. Good defending by him. La Madrid has slipped on the floor, and Jake Beasley has tried to be set down this right hand side. Manages to keep it in play. Mavropanos tracking nicely with him though. Tries to play it down the line into the path of Oliver Scarles. Heavy touch then from the Burton man. Brad Collins has come out of his net, chested it down. Got to be careful, Wilson's behind him, and he hacks it long downfield. It's flicked on by Burton, but the referee has blown his half-time whistle. Burton with the best of the chances within this game, and I'd be expecting West Ham to try and make some substitutions coming out for the second half, and maybe some tactical changes, because they've been the second best side within this game. And at the break, it is Burton 0, West Ham 0.
Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Scarles, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Scarles, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Scarles, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Scarles, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Scarles, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test their Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Skulls, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Scholes, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Scholes, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test Collins at all, other than an in-swinging corner from Scholes, which almost went in. That was nodded clear, but it's been a really good half for Burton. They'll be frustrated. It's still 0-0. Goalless at half-time at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, Burton Albion of League One against West Ham United. But if you didn't know these two sides and you watched this first half, you would have assumed that Burton are the Premier League side. They've been doing all the pressing. They've had a great shout for a penalty after Mavropanos shoved Beasley in the back. Referee Lewis Smith seemed to think that it wasn't for some strange reason. West Ham have barely gone up the other end to test Well, we're back then for second half, independent off-tube studio commentary from the FA Cup game being played at the Pirelli Stadium, where Burton Albion are still drawing with West Ham United 0-0, and it's been a really good first half from Burton's point of view. They would have been frustrated and not taking it in, had a couple of good chances. Really good shout for a penalty. West Ham at the other end had one effort on target, a standing save from the goalkeeper, and a corner kick which was swinging in and almost went in and had to be headed off the line. And that is it from the Premier League side. They've got to show more. They're already trying to show more here. Charging through the middle is La Madrid, getting towards the edge of the area. Needs a little bit of support here as well. He's been forced out towards the left-hand side, just about keeps it alive, where he's being supported there by Scholes, who then plays it back towards Mayers. It's myself, Paul Shibakovic, and Joe Pearson taking the reaction. And Joe, perhaps there, inside the first few seconds, we're seeing that West Ham are going to be a different animal in this second half. Yeah, indeed. You've got to put more pressure on this Burton side, but Burton have got to do what they were doing in the first half. Just close them passes down, play it through the middle, get it out wide to Shade and Jake Beasley, and just keep on putting West Ham under some pressure. Don't let them out of their own half, but it's whether they're in the right sort of fitness. There might be a few little tired legs out there. Obviously, they made the substitution early with Sibic, so it'll be interesting to see who they do bring off of the bench as well. But also, it'll be interesting to see who West Ham bring off the bench. Absolutely, yeah. No changes at half-time that we can see. So it is Collins in goal for Burton, a back three of Goodwin, Malife, Van Kooten and Armour. Then it's four across the middle of Lofthouse, Evans and McKieran, and Sibic, who came on for Reven, with Krubali playing behind Beasley and Shade. I'll do the West Ham 11 in just a second, because the Hammers are on the attack here down the left-hand side. Scholes leaves this one for Mayers. Didn't fancy crossing it himself, so he goes back towards his two centre-backs here, who are pushing into the Burton half now in Mavropanos and Kilman. He is again here down the left into Scholes, but he's been forced back. So just very quickly, Areola in goal for West Ham. In fact, no, there's a counter-attack here now for Burton. One back here by Shade. It might have been foul, but the referee says advantage, and it's his low cross into the box. The only target there was McKieran, and the ball is now cleared back into midfield. But West Ham very nearly caught out there. So just very quickly, Areola in goal for West Ham. Back four of Walker, Peters, Mavropanos, Kilman and Mayers. The three in midfield are Magassa, Kante and Scholes, with Traore, La Madrid and Wilson as the attacking three for the Hammers. But that was a good counter there, just not enough people going up there with Shade. Yeah, indeed, and it was one of them where the referee had played advantage for the foul on the Burton players. So the West Ham players sort of stopped for a moment, thinking it could be a free kick, and that's when Burton managed to capitalise on that opportunity. Well, here comes a long ball into the box, and that needed the block it got from Van Kooten there at the edge of the D, because there was already a West Ham player in La Madrid charging into the box, but now it's cleared long towards Beasley. Good header away though by Mavropanos. And West Ham are back in possession. We need to see more midfield possession from West Ham. They didn't have enough of that in the first half. It may well be that Kante, Magassa and Scholes haven't quite got the presence against this Burton side, but they are seeing more of the ball now. And here is Mayers off down the left-hand side, across into the penalty area. Good header away though by Van Kooten. back over to the left-hand side. Mayers leaves at this time for Kante. Mavropanos now over towards Walker-Peters here on the right-hand side. He plays an early ball. La Madrid is chasing that, but Van Kooten gets there first. And then it's cleared a little bit further downfield by Armour. Avoids giving away the throw, but West Ham still have possession inside Burton territory. It's Walker-Peters in towards Traoré. We'll see more from him in the second half here. Adama Traoré. He's been blocked at the edge of the area here by Evans. Tries to take him on for pace, gets past him and puts the cross in. It's a deep cross. It should still be kept alive. It's hooked back towards Wilson. Just enough Burton bodies in the way, and it's cleared back into midfield here now with Kante. Towards the halfway line. There is pressing here from Burton, but West Ham, they're trying to set their stall out in a very different way to the first half, aren't they?
Yeah, they are indeed. They're trying to put a little bit more pressure on this Burton side, and for me there's a little bit too many gaps now coming for West Ham where players are starting to run into, and I wonder if that's because Burton are just sort of dropping off for the time being, resting themselves for the second part of the second half, where they can maybe capitalise on West Ham, who, if they keep on playing like this, could get overrun a little bit by Burton.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it, I think, but Burton now are just starting to back off a little bit, and this opens things up a little bit now for Magassa towards the edge of the area. Scarles' ball is blocked at the edge of the box there by Goodwin Malife. It's back over on the left-hand side again. No chance to get across in for La Madrid, so it's back with Scarles. He goes back to Mayers. It's with Songotu Magassa. Square over towards the right-hand side. Mavropanos finding Walker-Peters. There's an overlap into the box. It's a good ball as well. That's good work there from Kante. That ball to the edge of the 6-yard box, though, is well marshalled by Van Kooten. Now, was there a farm there on Armour? He felt as though there was. The linesman was right next to it. He didn't feel that there was a foul. It's West Ham back in possession. Traore's left-footed ball into the box is nodded clear. It's only to the edge of the area. La Madrid now tries to play a ball into the box, but he runs straight into Goodwin Malife, and that one is cleared back to the halfway line. And so yeah, it was one-way traffic early on in the first half. It's one-way traffic in the second half, but it's gone the other way now.
Yeah, it has indeed, and maybe that's because Burton are, like you said, starting to drop off a little bit. You were not seeing Jake Beasley and Shade really attack the defenders as much as they were doing within the first half. They're sort of relaxing a little bit. They're being a little bit more reluctant to do so. It's giving West Ham a little bit more time on the ball. I'd like to see them get back to doing what they were doing in the first half, which is putting the defenders under pressure.
That's exactly it. They just need to get that little bit of a confidence boost here. I think it may just take, as you say, that it's a catch-22, because if they back off, they're going to allow West Ham more time and more space on the field to actually get into the game, and that's going to make it even more difficult for Burton to then get the ball off them. So they've got to try and press high up the field, because that's a good ball into the penalty area. Wilson trying to find some space, but he just hasn't got the room. Good covering in the end as West Ham's number 9 was actually supposed to be on the way out. I do remember him. Was it a goal he scored against Spurs where they said that's probably going to be the last goal he scores for West Ham, but he ends up staying after the end of the window, and just too many defenders around him there.
Yeah, Van Kooten and Godwin Malife just managing to get back in time to take the ball from underneath his feet, force him out. He did well to kind of try and hold up the ball and use his strength, but in the end it just wasn't enough, especially when you've got two players around you. And as well, there wasn't many West Ham players there getting into the box, so had he may have broken away, he would have tried the shot on a very, very difficult angle.
He would have, absolutely, yeah, and that's maybe he should have tried to do that just to maybe force a corner, but the clearance from the goalkeeper is played straight back into the Burton off, and Traoré is chasing this one. He does get there first, being marshalled here. He tries to go for goal, but Simic is there, gets his body in the way, and now it's a ball played down the left-hand side here by McKieran, but he's given himself too much work to do. West Ham win it back here now down the right-hand side with Adama Traoré. I think probably was being fouled in the end there by Simic. The referee allows play to go on. The referee Lewis Smith is now played back towards the goalkeeper Areola. So back into the middle here with 7.5 minutes into this second half. It is goalless. Just to remind you, of course, if this game does finish 0-0, or if it finishes level, we are going to have extra time and penalties to find a winner today. It's half-time in the early kickoffs in the Football League. It's 2-0 to Reading against Wickham in League One. It's goalless between Stevenage and Huddersfield. It's also goalless between Barnet and Cheltenham, which is the only early kickoff in the League 2 today. As West Ham now in possession with Magassa. Now towards Mayers, now Scarles. Back to Mayers again. Here is Kilman on the halfway line. Burton are playing a very high offside, which does have its merits, of course. It does make it harder for West Ham to play the long ball, but with the kind of pace that they have with Le Madrid and Traore, they've got to make sure that offside is always right.
Yeah, indeed, you've got to make sure you time it correctly, because we saw within the first half actually where Shade, they did a nice little 1-2 with him and Lofthouse, and actually he wasn't offside at all there. The linesman had put up his flag because maybe there was a hand waved by the West Ham players, but they're playing quite a dangerous one, West Ham, where Callum Wilson is literally on the edge of the line of Van Kooten and Godwin Malif, so you've got to be careful not to be caught in that offside trap.
Absolutely, and here come, Traore just skips away from Simic, and he plays it into the 6-yard box. There were 3 West Ham players waiting, just about enough there from Lofthouse. He's back into the box defending, and well, it's getting closer and closer here. West Ham really have turned it on in these first 9-10 minutes of the second half, and it's already starting to pay off.
Yeah, indeed. Burton just caught out here. Lovely footwork from Adama Traore. Just gets it round the back of the defender. It was aimed towards Callum Wilson, who just tries to first time it towards the far post, and actually does get a really helpful touch off of Lofthouse, because had it not, Scowls was in there.
Well, here comes the outswinging corner. It's a low outswinging corner aimed at the edge of the 6-yard box by the near post. Mavropanos was the intended target as he was trying to hook it towards goal. It's deflected out for another corner. But it's not just protest banners that West Ham fans are on. We saw a young fan there with a sort of a tinfoil FA Cup. It's very popular to see those early on in the competition. Another corner kick comes in. It's another defensive header at the near post. And it's out for a third corner kick in a row here to West Ham. They'll have to try something a little bit different this time, because the previous 2 balls in from Skulls have been quite easily dealt with. Lifts it a little bit higher this time. Mavropanos is the intended target. That's a header on target. It's batted down and saved here by the goalkeeper Brad Collins, who then wants to boot it long. I think he actually deliberately bumped into a West Ham player that was getting in his way, but Mavropanos was the target for the previous 2 corners, and he got on the end of this one as well. Yeah,
it did indeed. Free header as well. Nobody picked him up running in. Evans tried to get there. He was too late, and thankfully for Burton, Brad Collins was just in the right place there. Didn't really have to move, just had to make the jump up into the air there to try and save that one. But Mavropanos free there at the penalty spot.
Yeah, free header there, and straight at the goalkeeper Gary Bowyer. Just a discussion there with his assistant. He'll be getting a little bit concerned, because although we've only had 11 minutes of the second half, it's been 9% possession so far for Burton in these first 11 minutes, and 91% for West Ham. So it's just a short little time for the snapshot, but even so, it just shows you that the home side aren't getting on the ball at all. But now they're trying to change that as they go down the left here with Shade. He holds it up, and Armour is joining in. Was Armour pushed off the ball? He wasn't. He landed on the ball, used his hand, and in that ironic twist, he's now had the decision go against him for handball.
Yeah, indeed, Armour down this left-hand side. Shade, it flicks off of the West Ham man, and Magassa there puts a hand on the back. I don't think there's much contact from Magassa there. If he had put 2 hands, obviously it would have been a free kick, but the only 1 hand and a slight little push in the back, it's never going to really get given by the referee.
The referee wasn't interested in that one, as the long ball now played into the Burton half, and it's Traore. Got 2 players around him, but does really well, actually using all of his strength there, Traore, to get that ball into Walker Peters, who then has his pass deflected by George Evans. So it's out for a throw to West Ham on the right-hand side. Walker Peters has stolen at least 10 yards from where that ball went out of play, but I always say that's probably the easiest defence to get away with on a football pitch. And a long throw here from Walker Peters. Wilson then takes it down. He gets the ball into the 6-yard box. Van Kooten clears it, but not very far. It's still kept alive here on the right-hand side by Walker Peters, trying to get away from Armour. Then he puts a left-footed ball in, headed up in the air by Godwin Malife, and it's eventually hooked clear towards the edge of the box, where now Burton are trying to go on the counter. It's a ball down the left-hand side, which should stay in play here for Shade, but he's running into that. It's a very barren area where there's no grass. He tries to take on Mavropanos. He gets away from Mavropanos into the 6-yard box. There's a flick on at the near post, a crucial flick on there from Max Kilman, because there were Burton players arriving, and somehow just about West Ham clear their lines.
Yeah, indeed. I thought Mavropanos was going to try and kick out at Shade. Then I thought, don't try and give that foul away there, because he got inside the box. Lovely delivery, but thankful that Max Kilman was there just to head that one away.
Yeah, Kilman's there to head it away, and now it's going to be a corner kick to Burton. They wanted a handball there. It wouldn't have been a penalty. It was outside the box anyway. They're saying that Walker Peters had jumped with a bit of an arm raised. Lewis Smith hasn't really You certainly can't accuse Lewis Smith of being a home referee today, that's for sure. He's almost every 50-50 decision in this game from the ref has gone the way of the Premier League side. But George Evans is now waiting to whip this ball in from the left. Sea of players arriving, including the big frame of Toby Sibic, who came on during the first half for the injured Seb Reven. Burton fans, they've got their own inflatable FA Cups as well, as they're enjoying the cup day. But it's the short ball here, played towards the edge of the area. Shaders holding it up. That was a poor bit of control there in the end. I just think you don't want to overcomplicate your set pieces too much. West Ham do now clear their lines quite easily, although it's literally just a clearance into touch. It's going to be a throw on to Burton, but all those big players actually get the ball in the box.
Yeah, indeed, and for me there, Shader's done a little bit too much, and I think he knows it from that reaction that we've just seen there. It's just a simple pass, just play it back to Evans, who can quickly get that ball inside of the box. You don't have to be fancy with it. He tried to take it around the defender and do a few step overs and flick it past him. Just play the simple ball. The simple balls sometimes are always the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes being a little bit too elaborate can cause you more problems, as now Burton do get a decision. And it's a strong challenge there from Magassa. He catches Jake Beasley, and he does catch Jake Beasley. He certainly does. So that will be a free kick. And Beasley, as he's then fouled, he then falls into Magassa. But you could say that Magassa was the one that started all of it. And so now, good chances for Burton with the right ball into the box.
Yeah, indeed. It's Evans yet again standing over it. He's got Shade to that left-hand side. It's whether you use Shade as well. But for me, I'd just get it inside the box and try and trouble Areola as much as you can.
That's the idea, just to try and force the goalkeeper into either committing to come out for the cross, and then one of your own players can jump in and get to that ball. That will be the hope from Burton's point of view. Gary Bowyer looks on, the Burton manager. It's going to be a in-swinging ball here from George Evans. Lifts, it's too low. It's headed away by Walker Peters, of all people. That should give you an idea. He's one of the shortest players on the field. Didn't even have to jump for that one, and the ball is cleared back into midfield, pumped back into the West Ham penalty area. They clear their lines, but it's going to be kept alive there on the right-hand side by Godwin Malife. There is an offside, actually, as that ball is played into him. That's what the linesman's saying, although we have our doubts, having seen a couple of, should we say, not particularly accurate decisions in the first half. A free kick now to West Ham, just at the edge of their own penalty area. 61 minutes gone. It is still goalless here between League One Burton and Premier League West Ham. There have been a couple of moments here in this second half that give us hope that we're going to see a goal here in the 90th. A long clearance there from Areola, gets straight through towards Traore. Le Madrid just takes a little bit too much time on the ball, but West Ham just about keep it going. It's Magassa's ball out towards the right-hand side, takes a deflection, it's out for a throw. And Kyle Walker-Peters is ready to take this. He goes back towards the halfway line. Mavropanos goes square to Kilman. Now Magassa back to Mavropanos again. Kilman looking ahead here, just trying to think of a way to try and send this ball long. But Burton are still trying to play a high offside, though. It's with Magassa. Now Kante. Kante trying a ball into the box. And it needs that challenge there from Jack Armour, just coming in and making sure that that ball comes off his boot and out for a corner rather than reaching Traore. Yeah, and again though, Jack Armour very strong within that one, just pulls away from Adama Traore to flick it out for a corner kick. If it hadn't got too much pace on the ball, he could have possibly tried to take it down, but it's one of them where it's always got a little bit too much pace on it, so you can't quite get it. You can't afford for it to bounce off of your foot and Adama Traore running behind you. Absolutely, that's always going to be the danger there. But Skulls now with this corner kick, lifting it much higher this time towards the back post. It comes off ahead. Wilson then trying an overhead kick. It deflects off Van Kooten, and he can't keep that in place. So West Ham will have a corner from the left-hand side this time. Yeah, he tried the acrobatic finish, Callum Wilson. So as one of them, I think it dropped a little bit short for him to do so, and he didn't get the right connection. Took a hit off of the shin pad, and out it goes. Van Kooten tried to keep that ball in play there, but couldn't quite wrap his foot around it to keep it out. Couldn't do that, but West Ham have another corner kick now. What are they going to be able to do from this one? It's an outswing. Mavropanos goes for it, and just hit that one into the turf before it goes out for a goal kick.
Showing why he's a defender and not a striker, because if that was Callum Wilson, that could have been going past the far post. But Mavropanos there, yeah, he just manages, but yet again pulls away from his man, and actually he just comes off of the toe end. He doesn't even try and wrap his foot around him, tries to get the shot off, and it ends up with back with the West Ham fans, hits the ground. It was never going to trouble the goalkeeper. From that type of angle, you've got to get your foot round it instead of going with your toes.
Yeah, I think he was still in that sort of mindset of trying to get towards the ball. He didn't have quite have enough time to set himself and actually get a decent strike away on goal. Here come Burton though down the right hand side, when Malife's ball is deflected out for a throw in West Ham territory, but still quite a long way from the penalty area to restart play now. Just looking to see what options he has. Yeah, just throws that ball towards the edge of the area. It's held up. It's only partially cleared. Been one back though here. Still half a chance for Burton on the right hand side. The back heel ball is picked up here now. Going Malife into the penalty area. It's just a little bit too close to Max Kilman, who can then clear that towards Callum Wilson. Wilson under a bit of pressure. Can't control it, but it is out for a throw to West Ham. Yeah, it is lovely play on that right hand side, McKinnon there. I would have maybe liked him to get his head up and try and see the player that's on the edge of the box instead of trying to get it inside instead. But it is a good one inside the box, but yet again, easily dealt with by West Ham. Yep, Ham has dealt with that one and no problem at all. They're back in possession. Still inside their own half here. Burton still trying to play a high line with their defenders just to really congest things here for West Ham. But now Walker-Peters trying a ball over the top, and it's a good one as well. And if Wilson can get there, he can get there. He gets there just ahead of the defender. He's jumped, pushed off the ball. He's not going to get a corner. He's not going to get a penalty. He's just out for a goal kick. Yeah, Toby Sibic does really, really well there to try and play that back off of Callum Wilson. Just uses his strength, does Wilson, and Sibic then gets on the right side of him, sticks a leg out, and yeah, it just takes the final touch off of the striker in Callum Wilson. And for me, that's really good defending, and Port Vale fans now in full voice as well. Yeah, the Burton fans very much getting into the game now. And you could just say this, you certainly can't blame them. They've had a tough season in the league, very much in relegation trouble in League One. But this is a nice break from that for them today, and they'll be very pleased with how the game's gone. Although second half perhaps not as much, because a lot of the goal kicks here taken by Collins are coming straight back towards him now. As here come West Ham down the left-hand side. Strong challenge there on La Madrid, but he's able to pick himself up. West Ham now in possession here on the halfway line with Mavropanos. It's Kilman. Ezra Meyers. Meyers' ball, that's a good one as well. Into the penalty area goes Kante. Tries to cut back the cross. There's a good block there at the edge of the penalty area, and it's out for a corner. Yeah, really good ball through there onto Kante, who just tried to play it back into that 6-yard box. He's well defended in the end by Burton, but you've seen somewhat of worrying signs for Burton that they seem to be getting picked apart a little bit too easily at the moment. I think that is going to be the worry for Gary Bowyer, that there's not as much of a resistance as there was in the first half with the way that West Ham are getting forward. And it's an outswinging corner, high ball this time, ends up inside the 6-yard box. Mavropanos goes for goal. They're appealing a handball. It then drops, and second handball. Wilson goes for goal. It's still being charged down inside the 6-yard box. Wilson then puts a cross in, which takes a deflection, and Wilson will let this go out for a throw on. But there's quite a lot to dissect through there. Big appeals there from West Ham that there might have been a handball in all of that. Yeah, indeed. Mavropanos yet again tries to get it on the inside the box. We'll just see it again. Ball back towards Mavropanos. They're saying it come off of Lost House, but for me there, his arm is in a natural position. It's down by his side. He's not moved it towards. He's actually tried to move it away back down towards his side, and it's hit his shoulder really. It's an unusual one. It's quite rare to see the ball strike a player in that way, but I completely agree with you that he's not made any attempt to hit the ball with his arm. But of course, with the handball rules changing so often, that in itself isn't a guarantee that it wouldn't have been given. But now a long ball back over towards the right-hand side is over the head of Kyle Walker-Peters, and that's out for a throw to Burton down their left-hand side now. So you can see West Ham getting ready to bring on. Is that Castellanos getting ready to come on the forward? But this is going to be just a straight swap for Callum Wilson, you would imagine so. Throw one here to Burton down the left-hand side. Sibic's long ball is only partially cleared. Beasley then finding Shade down the left-hand side. Shade heading towards the edge of the area. He's got a couple of options, but he just runs into a block in the form of Songotu Magassa. That one is out for a throw to Burton now on the left-hand side in West Ham territory. So we're over the three-quarter mark in this game. It is still goalless between Burton and West Ham, and here's Jones take us through to full-time.
It'll be Shade who will take the throw-in then on that left-hand side. We've seen a few Burton players as well starting to warm up. Maybe they're making a change. It was actually Armour who has played it in, but the referee has told him to drop it back a little bit and take it from where he is pointing, and he will finally be played in. Will it by Armour? It will be. Down towards this left-hand side, tries to get the cross in. Mavropanos is there though to block it and put it back out for a throw-in. I wonder if they'll go along with this one, this time with Shade. The first one did look like, we'll just see another replay of that handball. I really don't think it is. I can see why West Ham will complain about it. That one, however, might have been a bit of a different story.
There's one there on Terence Van Kooten where he just seems to sort of, his arm is up and the ball seems to flare off, but here comes the throw in for Burton. It's only clear to the edge of the area.
Yeah, Krubali, McKinnon will take it down, tries to play it back in. Beasley can't go for it though, he's in the offside. Two Burton players go for the ball and they stumble over each other. Thankful that Van Kooten was there though to take it away from La Madrid, and here goes Shade then on this left hand side. He's up against La Madrid, who tries to track back onto Lofthouse then on his left hand side, plays it back to Evans. Evans looks for the in-swinging ball to Beasley. It's just a little bit behind him though. It takes the final touch off of Beasley, but Scarles won't let it go out of play. Will keep it in on that left-hand side. Then he's now away from his edge of the box, trying to go towards the halfway line, but has to play it back towards Kilman instead. Onto Myers. Myers plays it in back to Kilman, onto Mavropanos, switching it from left to right it goes. Walker-Peters, they're still inside of their own half at the moment, West Ham. Finally it's played into Adama Traore, trying to turn away from his man nicely, and Sibic there has been caught out by Adama Traore with the hand around him, so it'll be a free kick. But for me there, Adama Traore went down a little bit too easily.
He did, he probably thought he could get away with it, but now the ball's played early and it's Wilson goes for a bouncing ball on the volley, forcing a decent save there from Collins. It paid off though for Traore, didn't it? I mean, he felt a bit of contact and he thought the referee might give him a free kick, and West Ham took it quickly. Yeah, they did indeed, trying to catch them off. We'll see it again, not offside. And Callum Wilson there, Van Kooten does well to try and get back. He was never going to really get back in time. And Callum Wilson there just takes one glance at where Brad Collins is and knows where to hit it. But this time Brad Collins was just there to make that save. We'll also see changes coming for Burton, like I was talking about as well. It looks like Chauke will be coming onto the field, but first we will see Potts come on in replace of La Madrid, who's not had the best game, I've got to say. No, he's seen a little bit more of the ball in the second half, but it's been disappointing, I think, from La Madrid. I don't think he'll be delighted with his performance today. Neither will Espirito Santo. Yeah, indeed. So Potts will make his way onto the field. There's two changes, I believe, coming for this Burton side. We'll have to see who I think they're going to wait until after the corner is taken. Then they'll let West Ham take it. Scarles towards the far post. He's leaping in again, and he's got to get a hand onto that. Brad Collins, it had nearly gone underneath the crossbar and in, and he does really well to whack it round the edge of the post. He does. That ball is dipping just underneath the crossbar. Yeah, it is. I mean, even if it might have just been sailing level with the crossbar, but he can't take the chance when it's that close. No, he can't indeed. Beasley was behind him yet again to see if it was going to be another header off of the line, but Collins took his own initiative and tried to put the hand out, which it did work. Mavropanos has escaped his man, but instead it's towards Callum Wilson. Krubali does really well to get it away from the edge of the area, but it comes back out to Scarles then, onto Potts. He'll lift it in, headed away in the end then by Krubali. Krubali then tries to get the ball back off of West Ham, but they're doing well to keep it in. Myers onto the left-hand side for Potts. Potts will play it into Mavropanos. Mavropanos will play it into Kante. He'll play it onto Walker-Peters on this right-hand side. And, well, it hasn't really gone anywhere for West Ham. They found themselves yet again blocked out by the wall of yellow and black. Ball onto his left-hand side for Myers then. Back with Potts again. And
they really are trying to struggle. They're trying to break down the defence, but at the moment Burton are staying quite compact and quite tight.
They are. There's no space here for West Ham. They've got all the possession they want, but it's just a bit further up, further down the field. They want to be heading towards that Burton penalty here, but everything's just being well blocked at the moment.
It is indeed. Potts will just play it back to Mavropanos. Mavropanos tries to go through the centre with Magassa. Magassa does well to turn away. Ball through to Kanate. He fell over, saying that he was being pulled, but the referee didn't seem to think so, and it will be pulled back then for a free kick by Potts, who isn't happy with that one. But maybe we do see the changes coming now. It's McKinnon who is down for the time being. I wonder if he's maybe one of the changes that's coming off, so he's going to wait until he is down. He is one of the changes, so he is going to take that minute or so while he's down on the floor, and it's looking like Larson will be coming on in replace of him then, and we'll see George Evans come on and Chauke come on in replace of him as well.
Yes, so changes here for Gary Bowyer. Really wants to give his side best possible chance of actually still being competitive right until the end of the game.
Yeah, indeed. I've got to say, McKinnon hasn't really got going in this game. He's had a few opportunities, few balls inside the box, whether Evans as well. He's been quite dominant within that midfield, especially in that first half. Got a lot of the ball. I'm believing actually, no, it's Cannon who's coming on in replace instead of Larson. So the number 42, it's looking like, has come on for McKinnon instead of the Swedish player. Is Cannon. After all, I thought it was Larson on that far side. They both have SON, both have N at the end of their name, and both have similar numbers as well. One being 42, one being 22, and this time it will be the number 42 in Cannon coming on. So Evans off, Chauke on, and it will be McKinnon off, Cannon on then. Ball onto this right hand side, for Burton, trying to get the throw in at the moment. Myers is doing well to really hold up possession of the ball. Simic goes in for it, trips over his own feet though, and here come Myers down this left hand side, but he's lost out there yet again. Really good pressure coming in from this Burton side. They're managing to keep them at bay. It's onto the right hand side it goes then for Godwin Malife. Can't quite cross that ball inside the box, so Krubali will have a go, but it's blocked out by Mugasa in the end. But it's still really good pressure from this Burton side.
Oh no, it is. I mean, their play in this game overall has been very good, and they'll feel maybe it hasn't quite been at the same level in the second as it was in the first. But it's always difficult to maintain that same level as their throw comes in. It's cut out here at the edge of the area. Is
indeed, and Magassa will launch it long downfield for Adama Traore to race, and he will continue his run in behind Van Kooten, who he does really well there to try and fake the pass back towards the goalkeeper. And here he goes down this left-hand side. It's into Sibic, onto Armour. Oh, Armour's just a little bit too quick with that pass there. Would have liked to see him maybe take another touch or so, because he's lost it out to Walker Peters, who sends it into the midfield for Kante. That's a heavy touch by him to get it round Krubali, but a mistake nearly here by Godwin Malife. He's trying to turn away and maybe gets fouled. Yes, he does. The referee will have a word with Kante for that challenge on the back of Krubali, but yet again it come from a little bit of a Burton mistake within that final third.
No, it did. It's just they lost the ball a little bit too easily, I think, from Gary Boyer's point of view. He wouldn't be too happy, but here they go and get the attack now.
Yeah, they do indeed. Lofthouse tries to play it through to Beasley, and he can't get there onto the end of that one yet again. It was a little bit too far behind, and Areola has thrown this one really, really far inside of the Burton half towards that left-hand side. But Sibic, yet again, doing really well, but he can't quite turn away from Adama Traore, who's hot on his heels. It will go maybe out of play. Oh no, he does really well to keep it in onto Armour then, and Armour wants the throw in, and he will get it, will Jack Armour. So it will be a throw in for Burton inside of their own half. Gary Boyer is clapping his side, wants them to keep on going, keep the pressure on, and maybe try and get a goal, because we're still 0-0 here. Ball is played in by Chauke. Cannon can't quite get onto the end of it. Ball's played into Shade, and Beasley then tries to run into it, and Mavropanos has clipped Beasley there with the inside of the, well, it's actually his chest. I thought it was his thigh that he was holding. It's not. It's the chest. I think Mavropanos yet again has got away with one there.
He's got away with quite a lot today, hasn't he, Mavropanos? Well, looking at that replay, the first contact, I mean, it's just a fall from Shea, but the second one, his boots definitely raised, and I'm surprised the referee's not booked him, really, just for an accumulation.
Yeah, indeed. I don't think we've had a yellow card within this game yet for anybody
No.
on the field. So the referee has been quite reluctant to bring the cards out, but there has been a few for West Ham that I would have thought that maybe could have been yellow cards. You had Magassa and Kante both going in onto Krubali, which I thought, Magassa got the worst end of it with that high boot, but it wasn't to be. Burton have had a few penalty shout, as well within there. We'll talk about that a bit later as Shea tries to deliver this one. Ariola's quick out, but there's a little Chauke there seems to be a little bit injured as he's trying to run away. We'll keep up with that one. He was kind of hobbling away coming out of the box there. Ball is trying to be played to Beasley. It's not worked out. Header off of Kilman and goes out for a Burton throw in then. Kilman is smiling at his defender there as the ball's played into Shade. Tries to turn away from Walker Peters, so has to pass it into Toby Sibic. Krubali will now have it on to Jack Armour. Gets his head up. There's no real movement inside the box, so only a few players to try and aim at. Sibic will try it though, but yet again doesn't beat the first man, and it's a little bit too easy for West Ham. But Chauke has picked it up in midfield, but finds his pathway blocked. He's gone into a dangerous area. Tries to get a foot in. Does manage to win the ball back though for Burton. It's good battling by him. Armour plays a long ball into Jake Beasley, but it's a little bit over hit by the striker, and it will be a free kick in the end for Walker Peters, being dragged back by Cannon. So West Ham will have a free kick, but the ball's inside the box today. They haven't been the best for Burton, really.
No, they haven't. And in the first half, they were still a little bit better, I think, than what we're seeing now in the second, where things have just tailed off a little bit for Gary Bowyer's side in terms of them having any possession. But we've got 11 minutes to play until we hit injury time. So as it stands, they are holding the Premier League side.
They are indeed. Walker Peters onto this right hand side. I do wonder if we'll see Somerville come onto the field. He's been involved in 5 games in his last 4 appearances in the FA Cup. He is on the bench today for this West Ham side, and if anybody really wants to try and get on the score sheet and set up a goal, it'll be him to do so. They've got the likes of Castellanos as well on the bench. I wonder if they bring on him in replace of Callum Wilson. Adama Traore is looking a little bit flat-legged as well now. He's not got the pace that he really did in that first half. Ball is played onto Burton though. They've got a little quick counter ball inside the box. It's away though by Kilman. Good header because there was players arriving at that far post for Burton. It was aimed towards Beasley. Couldn't get onto it. Good defending in the end though by West Ham.
Yeah, West Ham did well in the end, and they're having to do well in defence in general, although most of their work in defence is just outside the box rather than actually having to clear crosses or catch crosses. But the fact that Burton is spending this much time in the West Ham half should already be a worry.
Yes, indeed. So it will be a corner kick for Burton Albion then. Godwin Malife is at that back stick. He's unmarked at the moment until Adama Traore comes over to him. Ball inside the box. It's over everybody's heads, but it's away by West Ham in the end. Then Kante will try and get the ball back for them. It's really good play though in the end by Chauke, who will just let it run out of play for a throw in inside the West Ham half. On that right hand side, Godwin Malife will be the taker of the throw in then. Not much movement coming from this Burton side. Jake Beasley goes towards it, so it'll just carry on Lofthouse, but still it is not played in for. It's finally played into the feet of Lofthouse, but he's lost out there. He tried to play it back into Godwin Malife, and Potts was hot on his heels there. I think he's got to try and turn away from Potts instead of trying to play it back towards the player.
Yeah, I think so. I think he just made the wrong option there and made it a little bit easier for West Ham to win the ball back. But now long clearance here from Ariola. We've still got 9 minutes to play. Yeah,
indeed. Headed away in the end by Sibic. Comes on to Potts, who tries to head it back into the path of Wilson. Doesn't work out in the end then. And Burton will try and launch it long downfield with Beasley. He heads it down into Krubali. Ball is we're now with Lofthouse. He tries to play the pass forward for Krubali's run, but in the end it's blocked out by West Ham and goes out for another throw in. But I think we'll see a change here coming for West Ham. We will do, and it's the man who I've been talking about. Somerville and Castellanos will both be coming onto the field. It's Adama Traore who will be coming off the field, and I wonder if Callum Wilson will also be coming off, because it looks like Somerville will be replacing Traore then.
Yeah. And Traore definitely were replaced by here by Somerville, and you would imagine that the other player to go off is Callum Wilson. We've not actually had that shown confirmed to us yet, but so we can see Castellanos is on the field now.
Yeah, I think it's Scarles who has come off in replace for Castellanos. We'll see it again. And Burton are also going to make a change. Sorry, and this time it will be Larson who comes onto the field then. And I can't quite see who he's replacing. I think he is replacing Shade, and Krubali is also coming off as well. So it's 2 changes now coming for Burton. I know one of them is Larson. Couldn't quite see who the other one is. We will confirm that in a moment. So Krubali, I think, is coming off. Larson will be replacing him then.
Adam is on the field as well. So we've also got Kane Adam on the field, and he's more of a midfielder, really.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's in replace of Shade then. I think Shade has come off. Yeah, he has done. And Adam is in replace of him then. And then I don't believe that... yeah, it was Oliver Scarles who has been replaced by Castellanos then. So it was Scarles and Traore. Traore has been replaced by Somerville, and Castellanos has replaced Scarles then. So I think maybe he's gone to... he was playing 3 at the back anyway, so I do wonder who's going to slot into... Maybe Potts slots into that left wing back position for West Ham.
Yes, I think so. Potts can play in that role if required. As the long ball goes over the top, now good chances for West Ham.
Yeah, it is in with Magassa. He's got Castellanos behind him. He'll try the shot. Brad Collins is down towards his right-hand side. It's still not out of play, though. It is finally hacked away in the end then by Burton. The ball is with Mavropanos then. Mavropanos plays it on to Kilman. Kilman onto this left-hand side then for Myers. Myers will play it into the path of Somerville then. Somerville just lays it off to Potts again. So we'll see for the changes for Burton. Shade and Krubali have come off. Adam and Larson have come on in replace of them then. Magassa has it on this right hand side, turns nicely away from the Burton man, but finds his pathway blocked in the end, so has to go back towards Mavropanos. Mavropanos onto Kilman. Kilman plays it through the centre for Somerville. Somerville has to play it back though, does get the ball back off of Kilman on this left hand side, 1-on-1 against Godwin Malife. He'll just pass it down the line in the end then, but it's good pressure at the moment from this Burton side to keep Somerville at bay and keep him playing it inside of this West Ham half. This is where Burton will want West Ham to be, trying to launch it long, which they have done here, long down the line, looking for Castellanos. Those fresh legs is up against Toby Simic. Castellanos does push him towards the ground, and it will be a free kick in the end, and it was a little bit delayed by the referee on that one, but Castellanos 2 hands into the back of Simic.
Yes, to say if his name was Mavropanos, he would have got away with that, but it's probably a little bit too blatant. The Mavropanos one was with a bit of a shoulder into the back, whereas this one was arms out, so the referees just can't ignore that.
Yeah, indeed. It's a bit of a silly one from Castellanos. He could have held Simic up towards that corner flag, but instead puts 2 hands on the back, and Simic is always going to go down in that situation because he's not really got anywhere to turn. So it will be a free kick, which Brad Collins will stand over then. Launches it along downfield onto the middle of the park inside the West Ham half. It is a West Ham had that has won back possession for them. Potts tries to play it down to Callum Wilson, but it's forward in the end. Then it's picked up by Beasley, who, well, he was challenged there by Magassa in the back, but the referee didn't seem to think there was much contact. Ball forward for Callum Wilson, who just seems to be a little bit tired now. Those tired legs maybe get into some of these West Ham players.
Yeah, potentially so. I think that the game, I have to say, it looks to me like it's ticking into extra time. I can't see how we're going to find a winner just based on how the game is being played right now. I think West Ham are trying to hit long balls to pick out their new forwards. Burton are seeing a bit of the ball, but it has just gone a little bit flat from the sort of exciting start we saw at the beginning of this second half.
Yeah, as indeed, but Burton do have possession of the ball. Lofthouse trips over his own feet, manages to get it in. It's onto his right-hand side for Cannon. He'll deliver a ball in, headed away though by Potts, out to Castellanos. Then inside the West Ham half, still tries to lay it off to Somerville, and Somerville, well, he clips the back of Godwin Malife's ankles, and Malife is down here, the captain, and obviously will take his time. He did feel that one because Somerville did somewhat run into the back of him. We'll just see it again there. Yeah, just stands on the, well, twice stands on the back of the ankle there with a little bit of stud showing. It wasn't intentional by Somerville. They're both trying to get the ball, but it's one of them that does hurt the back of the ankle.
No, it does, and he needs a little moment just to pick himself up as well. But he should be okay here, Malife, to play on. And a chance here now for Burton to get a decent ball into the box as well.
Yeah, indeed. If they can maybe muster up something here. Malife's back up to his feet. He does have a little bit of hobble. He's just checking the back of the right ankle. Seems fine to me. Plenty of Burton fans now holding up blow-up FA Cup trophies and plastic ones as well. We see a young fan there lifting it high above his head as Jack Armour stands over the ball then on this in the middle of the park, tries to deliver it towards the back stick. Beasley has won the header, but Mavropanos is there to get that ball cleared long downfield, but there's nobody to really chase it for West Ham. They were all inside of the box there. You would have thought with two strikers, Callum Wilson and Castellanos, one of them would have been up front, but neither of them were.
No, but it just goes to show that West Ham do really feel the threat from these Burton set pieces. A long ball into the box now is just about dealt with by Walker Peters and Kilman combined.
Yeah, indeed. Magassa will try and chase it down there. Well, Magassa for me has got a hold of Jack Armour there, and well, I think he's got away with one ball inside the box to Lass, and it's now finally cleared by West Ham forward. Callum Wilson will chase it downfield. Lofthouse has to get that one cleared then in the end, because Wilson was right behind him, and well, it's taken quickly by Walker Peters onto Wilson. Wilson gets it back. Castellanos will now have it. He tries to play it into the path of Somerville, and that's poor from Castellanos there. It's got to be a better pass forward, but Burton have wasted their opportunity to go forward. It's now with Somerville. He's turned away nicely from a few players. Gets a foot back hold of the ball. Ball inside the box, waiting for Callum Wilson. Header goes up by Burton. No, it's cleared by Burton in the end then. Back down towards Walker Peters. Walker Peters plays it into the path of Kante. Kante tries the back heel. Ooh, challenge goes in there. Chauke. The referee will play advantage though. The linesman had a clear view of it on that right hand side. Back with Potts then. Potts onto Mavropanos. Mavropanos plays it into Kilman. Kilman was looking to spread it onto that left hand side. Found his pathway blocked though. Back with Mavropanos onto Kante then. Kante will play it into Somerville. Somerville does really well to hold up possession of the ball. Manages to get it back. Plays it into Castellanos. Somerville. Shot comes in from distance. It's taken a deflection. Oh, and Brad Collins dives onto it before it goes out for a corner kick there. There were worrying signs for Burton, but they managed to hold on strong against this West Ham side.
They have. I mean, West Ham have had moments in this second half where they've put pressure. We're just going to get 4 minutes of added time at the end of this game. We're into that time now. And this is where Burton have really got to focus, because I don't think West Ham want this game to go to extra time. There's always more of a chance of them potentially losing the game than if it goes to penalties. Of course, it becomes a complete lottery. But no, I've been impressed with Burton's resilience today. But again, it's been a flat performance from West Ham, but they have another chance here now.
Yeah, they do indeed. Callum Wilson picks up the ball. It's not dealt with by Burton. It's onto his right-hand side for Walker Peters. Walker Peters will try and get it towards that back stick. Well, it was looking for Callum Wilson. Has Somerville kept it in on that far side? He hasn't, says the linesman. It's gone out for a goal kick in the end then. Somerville thought he had done, but yet again, another wasteful opportunity by West Ham.
They need to do better with that one, West Ham, and by the time this goal kick is taken, that would have been nearly a minute and a half of the 4 that we've had added to this second half. So Burton will be pleased. Holding a Premier League side to extra time will be seen as a big achievement from their point of view.
Well, we're seeing West Ham fans now. The camera just panning in on a few of them, and they look like just some distraught fans that I don't think they can believe what they're really seeing here. That they maybe haven't come into this game and haven't scored a goal in the 90 minutes that has been played. A lot of them are not looking happy that have made the travel to Burton, and neither, to be fair, does Nuno Espirito Santo.
No, I think from Nuno's point of view, I think he'll know that this is a game that West Ham should have approached differently. They perhaps should have just put out a much stronger team at the start of the game to actually really take it to Burton, and now that they're in danger of really having an embarrassing result here this afternoon.
Well, obviously they do have 2 more substitutions. They've made 3.
They'll get an extra one.
I think they get an extra, yeah.
An extra time as well.
Which
but
I think Burton have made all 5. Yeah, they have done all 5, so they'll get an extra on as well. But I think now Burton have really got to kind of hold their own. There will be some tired legs, but it's about who's got the most heart really within this side, and it is looking like Burton at the moment. They look like they've got most of the heart. We've got 2 minutes left to be played of the additional time before we go into a little bit of extra time. Chauke has won a free kick for Burton inside of his own half then. And obviously they will not really rush to take this one. Gary Boyer is still in talks with his assistant on the sideline then, and maybe seeing what he can change, maybe going into this extra time, or maybe what can he do for the final minute and a half or so. Ball is played onto this right hand side. Kilman is holding up Beasley. Beasley manages to get a foot in onto the ball though, but it's a free kick for West Ham on that left hand side. And well, it will not be taken quickly by the West Ham player, for it finally is, but a header is won by Kyron Lofthouse. Ball is long downfield, but it's picked up by Armour. Armour sends it back across looking for Beasley. Mavropanos has beaten him in the air though, like he has done mainly every single time. Somerville has possession of the ball on this left hand side. It's into Magassa. Magassa plays it back to Myers. Myers into Kilman. And Kilman just plays it back towards Areola, looking towards this right hand side to see if he can ping it long downfield. He can, but it's only into a Burton player who launches it back downfield. Well, it's tried to be taken down there by Adam, but it's not worked out in the end then. Ball is played to Chauke. He can't quite turn away from the West Ham man. He can though this time. Ball is played to Adam, he's got nowhere to really turn on this left hand side. Ball is played forward towards Beasley. He hasn't won the header, neither has Adam, and the ball is nearly out of bounds here, but it's managed to be kept in by Wilson before he's dragged down to the floor and has, I believe, won a free kick, and they wanted to take that quickly there. Chauke does really well and just steps in front of it, so it isn't played quickly. But the full-time whistle has been blown. Then we will go into extra time. It's been a bit disappointing from this West Ham side. They started this second half really nicely, but Burton have held their own, and now it's down to who has more of the heart to try and finish off this game. So at full-time it is Burton 0, West Ham 0.
So it's still goalless at the Pirelli Stadium in this FA Cup fourth round match. Burton Albion against West Ham United. We'll be back for you very soon for the first half of extra time. Burton under a bit more pressure in this second half, but West Ham still struggling to really get into the game. And despite longer spells of possession compared to the first 45, Nuno Espirito Santo's side still haven't been anywhere near the Premier League quality you would expect. It's goalless at the Pirelli Stadium, and back for you very soon for extra time. Still goalless at the Pirelli Stadium in this FA Cup fourth round match. Burton Albion against West Ham United. We'll be back for you very soon for the first half of extra time. Burton under a bit more pressure in this second half, but West Ham still struggling to really get into the game. And despite longer spells of possession compared to the first 45, Nuno Espirito Santo's side still haven't been anywhere near the Premier League quality you would expect. It's goalless at the Pirelli Stadium, and back for you very soon for extra time. Still goalless at the Pirelli Stadium in this FA Cup fourth round match. Burton Albion against West Ham United. We'll be back for you very soon for the first half of extra time. Burton under a bit more pressure in this second half, but West Ham still struggling to really get into the game. And despite longer spells of possession compared to the first 45, Nuno Espirito Santo's side still haven't been anywhere near the Premier League quality you would expect. It's goalless at the Pirelli Stadium, and back for you very soon for extra time. Still goalless at the Pirelli Stadium in this FA Cup fourth round match. Burton Albion against West Ham United. We'll be back for you very soon for the first half of extra time. Burton under a bit more pressure in this second half, but West Ham still struggling to really get into the game. And despite longer spells of possession compared to the first 45, Nuno Espirito Santo's side still haven't been anywhere near the Premier League quality you would expect. It's goalless at the Pirelli Stadium, and back for you very soon for extra time. Still goalless at the Pirelli Stadium in this FA Cup fourth round match. Burton Albion against West Ham United. We'll be back for you very soon for the first half of extra time. Burton under a bit more pressure in this second half, but West Ham still struggling to really get into the game. And despite longer spells of possession compared to the first 45, Nuno Espirito Santo's side still haven't been anywhere near the Premier League quality you would expect. It's goalless at the Pirelli Stadium, and back for you very soon for extra time. Still goalless at the Pirelli Stadium in this FA Cup fourth round match. Burton Albion against West Ham United. We'll be back for you very soon for the first half of extra time. Burton under a bit more pressure in this second half, but West Ham still struggling to really get into the game. And despite longer spells of possession compared to the first 45, Nuno Espirito Santo's side still haven't been anywhere near the Premier League quality you would expect. It's goalless at the Pirelli Stadium and back for you very soon for extra time. Still goalless at the Pirelli Stadium in this FA Cup fourth round match. Burton Albion against West Ham United. We'll be back for you very soon for the first half of extra time. Burton under a bit more pressure in this second half, but West Ham still struggling to really get into the game. And despite longer spells of possession compared to the first 45, Nuno Espirito Santo's side still haven't been anywhere near the Premier League quality you would expect. It's goalless at the Pirelli Stadium and back for you very soon for extra time. Still goalless at the Pirelli Stadium in this FA Cup fourth round match. Burton Albion against West Ham United. We'll be back for you very soon for the first half of extra time. Burton under a bit more pressure in this second half, but West Ham still struggling to really get into the game. And despite longer spells of possession compared to the first 45, Nuno Espirito Santo's side still haven't been anywhere near the Premier League quality you would expect. It's goalless at the Pirelli Stadium and back for you very soon for extra time. Still goalless at the Pirelli Stadium in this FA Cup fourth round match. Burton Albion against West Ham United. We'll be back for you very soon for the first half of extra time. Burton under a bit more pressure in this second half, but West Ham still struggling to really get into the game. And despite longer spells of possession compared to the first 45, Nuno Espirito Santo's side still haven't been anywhere near the Premier League quality you would expect. It's goalless at the Pirelli Stadium and back for you very soon for extra time. Well, we're back then for the first half of extra time here at the Pirelli Stadium, and I must admit, when this game started, I didn't expect this game to be going to extra time. I figured that Burton actually had a really good start in the game, that they might cause a surprise. West Ham weathered that storm in the first half, and they came out with a bit more intent in the second. But then they sort of ran out of ideas towards the end of the half. Now we've been ready to start this second half, the first half, I should say, of extra time for about a minute or so, but for some reason our referee still isn't able to finally get things underway here. But we are definitely 11 against 11, everything is matching, so Potts now does get the second half underway here with West Ham United. Well, they need to do some more work here in this first half of extra time. Enough possession, I thought, in the second half to actually cause problems, but it's a combination of Burton being well organised, but also West Ham just not having enough creativity, I felt, to really test this Burton defence. It's myself, Paul Shabakovic, and Joe Pearson taking you through the action.
Yeah, indeed. I think now it's about, like I said, it's about who's got the most heart, who's got the most stamina to see off the rest of this extra time. Hopefully it doesn't go to penalties for either team. Hopefully we can finally find a deciding winner. But for me, it looks like it could be Burton, because West Ham are looking a bit tired out there. They have a few more subs than Burton do. They can bring on a few extra players and get a few fresh legs on there. But for me, that something's got to change for West Ham. They've either got to try and find an opener, because Burton are continuing to put the pressure on them here.
Oh, they are, but then West Ham still can make a couple of changes, but they've made all their attacking changes, really. I mean, they've got Wan-Bissaka, Disasi, Diouf, Ayala. They've got a couple of players who can still do stuff out wide, but they haven't really got anyone. They've made their attacking changes already, and they're on the attack here now, down the right-hand side. Ball is with Magassa. Rolling this one back into to midfield. It's now with Mavropanos. He then goes square to Kilman. Kilman over towards Mayers here on the left-hand side. Ball into Somerville, back to Mayers again. Plenty of West Ham players further forward. But as I say, I mean, even if West Ham go on to win this game, anyone who watched this game will know that for 90 minutes, West Ham really couldn't trouble a struggling League One side. No,
they couldn't. I talked about this is the same League One side that's not had a win in their last 5 league games. I mean, the confidence in them, isn't maybe the best inside the players, but they've come into this game, Burton, and they're a bag full of confidence, and maybe they do take that into the league. Maybe they do take that into this extra time, that they can push this West Ham side. They can keep on doing what they're doing because it is working.
Well, West Ham on the attack now. Long ball in from Mavropanos. He wouldn't quite set up for Castellanos, and it has been eventually cleared. I mean, it's a very good point you're making. Burton are not a form side. If this was West Ham against Cardiff, then you'd say, well, yeah, Cardiff, big stadium, big club, and great form, looking for promotion into the Championship. But Burton have actually got quite a lot of work to do to avoid promotion, to drop down into the fourth tier. So it really is quite. It's credit to Burton, and from Gary Bowen's point of view, regardless of the result, he'll be hoping that the mindset, the attitude that Burton have had today can be taken into their league games.
Yeah, indeed. I bet it can be as well, because the confidence that they gain from this game, you know, you're coming up against a Premier League side who, yeah, they don't have their full strong 11, but you're coming against people that are experienced at a very, very high level. And for you to kind of hold your shape, be compact, not let them get a goal and not let them break you down, it's incredible.
I mean, he's been out of form for a while, but you've got to remember, Callum Wilson has got a hatful of Premier League goals. He does know what he's doing in front of goal. He's just not had many chances today. But now, nice bit of link-up play between him and Castellanos. Castellanos' ball into the box, just a little bit under hit. Now, half a chance here for Burton to go on the counter, and it suddenly opens up straight through the middle. What a chance this is for Cannon. Cannon heading towards the edge of the area, gets brought down. He wasn't fouled, although maybe Burton players thought he could have been. Now it's scooped up here by Magassa, and he was fouled as he was trying to get away from the edge of his own penalty area. That will be a free kick. It was Beasley with the challenge, but for a few seconds there, I think West Ham fans would have been panicking.
Yeah, indeed, and I bet the defence was a little bit there as Cannon was racing through the middle there, had plenty of time, had plenty of options though. Maybe would have liked to see him spread it onto that left-hand side for Adam, who was making the overlapping run. He did have Beasley towards his right instead, but didn't try and use him as Somerville breaks away here.
Oh, he does. Great work here from Somerville. Gets to the edge there. He goes for goal. Oh, it's taken a deflection as he's gone for goal. It's taken a little bit of dip off the ball. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened, because the ball didn't seem to have a natural flight to it. But Somerville, big smile on his face. I think that's a smile of relief rather than a smile of joy. But it's a decent strike from him. I think there is a deflection from a slide just as the ball goes into the net. But with 5 minutes gone of extra time, West Ham finally break the deadlock.
Yeah, they finally do. It's only taken 95 minutes of play, though, from a Burton side who will feel hard done by a little bit here. They've had a lot of the chances, but it's Somerville who races away down this left-hand side. Chowkey couldn't really do much against that. Sibic is trying to get his team back into this. They can't let this goal let them down here, because it's just out. It's, you know, it's really good pace from Somerville. He turns away nicely from his man, gets away from Godwin Malife as well, and yet takes a deflection off of Van Kooten, who just sticks a leg out at it, trying to get something onto it, and it flies into the top corner. There's nothing that Brad Collins could really do about that one. Somerville, I don't think, could quite believe it had actually gone into the back of the net from his reaction. But in the end, it has done. But I mean, Burton can't be you know, they can feel hard done by this one, but they can't let it affect them.
No, I think that it's taken a bit of quality and a little bit of luck as well for West Ham to break the deadlock, and it's taken a full 90 minutes plus 5 minutes of extra time for that goal to be scored. But of course, we've still got 25 minutes of extra time to play, so Burton haven't lost this match by any stretch, and we've seen already today that West Ham can be susceptible to some of the Burton attacks. They just need to try and get some of these long throws, some of these crosses into the box, and they've won themselves a throw on an attacking position here, but it's taken short this time. Back with Malife here, does well to get away from Somerville, heads towards the pass is just behind Jake Beasley, but that's exactly the right response.
Yeah, it is. Don't let this goal affect you, and that's nice from Godwin Malife. Gets away from a few West Ham challengers, but puts a little bit too much pace on the ball there, and it goes through the legs of Jake Beasley, and it was just a little bit too far behind him as well.
Long clearance here from Areola. Castellanos took it down from the sky, but then he fell and he lost the ball, and now Burton have got a chance here with Beasley pushing down the right, but the pass to him from Choke doesn't quite reach him. There's still half a chance there. Choke is fighting to win this ball back. Mayers gets in the way, and now it's with West Ham again on the left-hand side here with Mohamedou Kante back towards Ezra Mayers. And from Kim, I suppose from looking at it from Nuno Espirito Santo's point of view, he won't be thrilled with the quality of the performance, but actually a hard-working, gritty performance like this, that can do a little bit to try and just get a bit more out of your team as well, because they obviously, West Ham haven't been good enough this season. I'll just break off from that as the cross comes in, but it's straight into Areola.
Yeah, indeed. You know, Burton can't let this affect them, but West Ham, you know, if you do feel like if they get a second, it could be game over. So Burton have just got to stay compact. They've got to stay tight. But for me here, West Ham are making a few mistakes. Burton have just got to try and capitalise on the opportunity.
They do, and Burton have got the ball back here in an attacking position. Cross from the left-hand side, deflects up in the air. Still half a chance here now, but it's been won back, and suddenly West Ham can go on the counter. A ball down the right-hand side Does so well there, does Somerville, to keep that alive, and he finds Castellanos. Castellanos has got an overlap here on the left in Mayers, and that's where the ball's gone. It's a good ball as well. Mayers across the 6-yard box. Oh, he was too quick for his own teammates there. Because he was forced to play that ball early, he couldn't really do anything other than play that ball at an angle. The closest player for West Ham to actually scoring that was Kante. He was herring into the box, but the pass was too quick for him as well.
Yeah, indeed, Castellanos, you know, he maybe tries to fake this one out there, but for me, Van Kooten has left his run. He stopped for a moment there. He saw that Mayers was coming on the overlapping run, but he actually stops his run, and if he had continued it instead, he probably would have got the block in for that cross.
He certainly could have had a chance to do that, as we can see the replay there. Good chance that for West Ham, but it's been and gone. Burton are now responding with a bit of attacking possession themselves. Cross comes in from the left-hand side. It's cleared to the edge of the area where Somerville was clearly being held onto there by Jake Beasley. So that will be a free kick to West Ham at the edge of their own box.
Yeah, apart from Beasley there's no really need. You just got to try and use your strength, but instead he just grabs the shirt of Somerville. I maybe see why he does it. He doesn't want to... he doesn't want Somerville to break down this left-hand side, but it's just a silly challenge to make, and we'll see maybe a substitution coming here for Burton.
Well, Burton are going to try and anything they can do really to try and just give themselves a bit more of a chance. We've still got 6 minutes to play in this first half of extra time, plus the whole of the second half of extra time still to come. Meanwhile, the 12:30 kickoffs in the Football League are coming to a conclusion. I'll give you those results in a second. West Ham on the attack now. Castellanos at the edge of the area. His effort is charged down. Ball then drops to Walker-Peters. He plays it at the edge of the area, and it's now Wilson. Back to Walker-Peters. His cross is charged down. West Ham are appealing for a penalty. Referee says no penalty, but it will be a corner. Yeah,
it will be indeed. It was nice from Castellanos, but yet again, coming down this left-hand side, they've cut inside back onto their right foot there, tried the shot. It's not worked out in the end then. Walker-Peters has also tried his shot. We'll see here the handball.
I mean, it does hit his elbow. His elbow's by his side. I mean, you can't, other than David Luiz, who used to like demonstrably put his hands behind his back every time he was blocking across. Normal players obviously can't do that, so he was having to have his arm somewhere. I think it was probably the right decision not to give that penalty. I think, generally speaking, in this game, Burton were robbed of a nailed-on penalty in the first half. So I think there's always going to be that thought in the back of our minds as the poor corner kick coming in from the right-hand side from Potts. It's nodded clear. It's going to be pumped back in by Magassa, but it's stopped at the edge of the area here by Cannon. And now a chance here for Burton to at least get the ball away from their own penalty area. It's up to the halfway line. Taken down. Oh, that's a strong. That's going to be a red card, I think. Well, no, it won't be a red card, but it will be a yellow. The Burton players are absolutely furious with the referee here. They feel as though that should be a red. The referee did have a yellow card in his hand, but I just wonder whether or not Mr. Smith, our referee, has given himself a mental replay here. With no VAR, the Burton players are really getting into the referee.
He's off.
It's a red. He's changed his mind. He had a yellow in his hand, but now he's changed his mind. It's well, I've been accusing this referee of not giving many home decisions today, but there the players protested, and the referee genuinely changed his mind. He was already holding a yellow card.
Yeah, they did indeed. And this is the first card of the game, and it is a red one, and I believe this is the right decision. I'd like to see a little bit of a replay, but it looked nasty from the camera angle that we had. I wonder if he's got whispered in his ear, maybe by the linesman or the fourth official on that side. But for me, the referee had a yellow card in his hand, but he's changed his mind after a little bit of maybe rethinking over the decision, looking back at it. But now West Ham are down to 10 men. Burton have just got to keep on attacking this West Ham side. Brad Potts is refusing to get off the field here. He still hasn't left, and for me, he's got to go off now. The referee is in discussion with Mavropanos as well. We'll see it again.
Oh, it's awful. I mean,
it's a bad one.
The only thing that stops Freddie Potts from committing an absolute, GBH on the pitch is the fact that his studs have missed the player by going in between his legs. But the intent from Freddie Potts is awful there, and he's got absolutely no leg to stand on, just like his opponent who he went into. But no, it is the right decision. He's not done too much in this game, Freddie Potts. It has to be said. He's been a sort of West Ham youth product, hoping to sort of break into the team regular now for quite a few years. He's not the youngest player anymore either. As we see Potts going off the field. Slight worried look on his face there. But yeah, disappointing from him. And it makes the end of this game that much more interesting. West Ham are now down to 10. And thankfully, as far as they're concerned, they're at least 1-0 up.
Yeah, indeed, but this is where Burton have got to keep the pressure on. I think Freddie Potts has only been on the field for about 40 minutes. He's not really played any football at all, and now he's been sent off.
I've got to say, I mean, we watch a lot of football. I can't think of a game I've ever commentated or indeed watched as a fan before where there's been no yellow card and the first card is a red card in extra time. That in itself is quite a... That's a good little pub quiz question coming up in a few years' time, I would suggest. But Burton have a free kick here on the halfway line after that foul, and then it's taken short before it is launched long into the box. It's taken down on the chest. Half a chance in for a shot, maybe at the edge of the area. Just too many touches in the end there from Malafia. But the ball coming in here from the right-hand side is only partially dealt with inside the penalty area. West Ham are really struggling to clear their lines, and Burton are now going to feel that's a real shot in the arm as Choke was brought down there. I thought there was a bit of pushing on him, but the ball in the end just goes out for a throw to West Ham. I mean, Potts has been sent off, but I do get the feeling that, I don't know, maybe it's just the way that we've seen the game, but the officials really haven't given any 50-50 to Burton. Obviously the red card was a deserved red card, but other than that, there's been so many little pushes and things that just haven't gone the way of the home side at all.
Yeah, indeed. We'll just see a replay of that red card. Yeah, he first initially goes for the yellow card, and then he's swarmed by Burton players, and finally then has a rethink, and off Potts goes. Wilson's not happy with it, but for me, down on that right-hand side, Chowkey, he was being held by his shirt there, and he's continuously being held by his shirt, and he can't get away from Mavropanos. Like, he's taken like a knee, he's gone down on one knee, but for me there, if I'm him, I'm going down on two, and I'm just playing it like it should be a free kick.
Oh, I agree. I think that it didn't look particularly good from that point of view. But a long ball now into the box. We've got about 30 seconds until we hit injury time in the first half of extra time, and there will be a couple of minutes added here as Malik Diouf is getting ready to come on here for West Ham, left-sided midfielder stroke defender. So that probably is going to try and come in to fill the hole there for Freddie Potts. As we can see, the not so happy Hammers behind Alphonse Albion. And I say that because there's maybe one or two people out of the 100 or so we can see in that snapshot there that had a smile on their face. They're clearly unhappy with things at the club. It's not been a brilliant performance today either, although it was a good goal from Somerville that, as it stands, is putting West Ham into the 5th round. Here come Burton though, as we hit injury time here in the first half of extra time. It's out towards the right-hand side here for Lofthouse. Into the box he goes, stands the cross up, and Areola's only palmed it. Oh, great chance to go for goal. Taking a touch there, Cannon tees it up. It's going to be a striker goal. It's gone wide. That's the chance that Burton needed, and they haven't taken it. Areola with some really nervous goalkeeping, a half-hearted punch which ends up about 3 yards in front of him, and actually the shot in the end coming in is quite a long way wide.
Yeah, Gary Boyer there, we've just seen a replay of it. He went to strike the ball with the player there, and he cannot believe that Jack Armour has missed that. Maybe because it's a defender. You need somebody maybe like your Jake Beasley or somebody like Cannon on the end of that one. But the Burton fans can't believe they've not scored. There was too many touches within inside of that box that were taken by the Burton players. You've just got to kind of hit and hope those kind of things, especially inside the box, because it might work out for you.
Well, it might do, but now it might work out for West Ham because Somerville's brought the ball forward, and then it's Castellanos' ball in towards Wilson. It takes one touch too many. I think he was being marshalled there, and that is going to be out for a 3 minutes have been added. That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, as I say, the added time in football is still a very much a grey area for me. How is it that we had 45 minutes of football which saw 4 minutes added, and as a result of one red card and one goal, we've had 3 minutes added to 15 minutes of extra time? It doesn't make any sense at all. It's the next subject I believe that FIFA should fix is just introduce a stop clock into football, but they'll never do it because they love a bit of controversy and they love a bit of the sort of uncertainty. But here comes the corner kick for West Ham. It's headed away at the edge of the 6-yard box there by Godwin Malife, and it's then kept alive. There's still a chance here for Burton to go on the counter. Ball down the left-hand side if they can switch it over towards the right-hand side. They're holding onto it here on the left. It's now played through the middle here. Choke in towards Cannon. And he leaves it here. It should be kept in play on the right-hand side by Godwin Malife. He just skips away from Castellanos. What a run this is into the box. He almost got tripped, but he just leaves himself too much in the end. And a combination of Meyers and Mavropanos just about to clear the lines for West Ham. We've still got 30 seconds of extra time to play here. and it's quickly gone down the right-hand side into the box. It's good covering though from Mayers. It's cleared into midfield. Van Kooten keeping this alive now for Burton. Cross coming in from Cannon, stopped inside the penalty area, but there is Kante for West Ham. He can clear his lines. It's over the halfway line, and Burton, well, the goalkeeper in fact has come out here, Brad Collins, just to keep the ball in play, but it might be too little too late. We've pretty much had the 3 minutes of added time here in the first half of ET, barring just a couple of seconds, and it's quickly with Mayers pumping this ball up towards the halfway line, kept alive here by Van Kooten. One back here by Castellanos, and now West Ham have a chance to go on the counter when we've had the 3 minutes. The referee is playing a few extra seconds, but now Van Kooten has the ball for Burton. He can clear it, and that will be it for this first half of extra time, where it's now Burton 0, West Ham 1. We're back for you very shortly for the second half of extra time. So it is Burton 0, West Ham 1 at the end of the first half of extra time. Harsh on Burton, who've played very well in this game, but West Ham scored after a really good goal from Crescencio Somerville. He starts on the left-hand side, a long way from goal, skips away from 3-4 players before going for goal. Look, there was a slight deflection on his effort, which found the top corner, but just a few minutes after West Ham took the lead, Burton was suddenly given a lifeline in this game after a really reckless lunge from substitute Freddie Potts, the West Ham midfielder. The referee, Lewis Smith, who's not had a brilliant game, it has to be said, was coming across to give him a yellow card, but Burton players surrounded him, and then he changed his mind and gave a red. It was the right decision, but the way the referee reached it maybe was slightly unusual. But in any case, Burton are now playing against 10 men, but it is West Ham who lead 1-0. We're back very soon for the second half of extra time. So it is Burton 0, West Ham 1 at the end of the first half of extra time. Harsh on Burton, who've played very well in this game, but West Ham scored after a really good goal from Crescencio Somerville. He starts on the left-hand side, a long way from goal, skips away from 3-4 players before going for goal. Look, there was a slight deflection on his effort, which found the top corner, but just a few minutes after West Ham took the lead, Burton was suddenly given a lifeline in this game after a really reckless lunge from substitute Freddie Potts, the West Ham midfielder. The referee, Lewis Smith, who's not had a brilliant game, it has to be said, was coming across to give him a yellow card, but Burton players surrounded him, and then he changed his mind and gave a red. It was the right decision, but the way the referee reached it maybe was slightly unusual. But in any case, Burton are now playing against 10 men, but it is West Ham who lead 1-0. We're back very soon for the second half of extra time. So it is Burton 0, West Ham 1 at the end of the first half of extra time. Harsh on Burton, who've played very well in this game, but West Ham scored after a really good goal from Crescencio Somerville. He starts on the left-hand side, a long way from goal, skips away from 3-4 players before going for goal. Look, there was a slight deflection on his effort, which found the top corner, but just a few minutes after West Ham took the lead, Burton was suddenly given a lifeline in this game after a really reckless lunge from substitute Freddie Potts, the West Ham midfielder. The referee, Lewis Smith, who's not had a brilliant game, it has to be said, was coming across to give him a yellow card, but Burton players surrounded him, and then he changed his mind and gave a red. It was the right decision, but the way the referee reached it maybe was slightly unusual. But in any case, Burton are now playing against 10 men, but it is West Ham who lead 1-0. We're back very soon for the second half of extra time. Well, we're back then for the second half of extra time here at the Pirelli Stadium, FA Cup 4th round, and it was goalless at the end of 90 minutes. West Ham took the lead 5 minutes into extra time. They now lead by a goal to nil, but Freddie Potts has been sent off, so they are playing with 10 men. And to take us through to full time, here is Joe. Yeah, just to let you know, West Ham have made the change, Kante, and he has been substituted off. Disasi has come on then, the Chelsea loanee will come on in replace of him then. So I wonder if it'll be a change in the back lineup as well for West Ham. But Burton, I think, have just got to continue their attacking range against this West Ham side, who are now down, obviously, to 10 men. So it'll be interesting to see. I think also Callum Wilson has come off and Orford has come on, but I'll come back to that. Cherokee has tried his shot, he's fallen to Armour, he can't get quite onto it then. It's come back out to Larson, Larson onto Cannon. Larson will get it back on the edge of the box, will look to in-swing it low, driven, it's towards that back stick. Oh, nobody could quite get onto the end of it. It had taken the deflection in the end off of a Burton man.
in Adam, but nobody was on that far post to try and get onto the end of it. But Burton here coming forward with real aggression.
Well, they have to, Joe. They've got to try and get into this game. Just to confirm those 2 substitutions, yes. So Kante and Wilson are off, and Orford and Disassi are on. So that's an intent from Espirito Santo. He's taken off a striker and a midfielder, replaced them with a midfielder and a defender. So he wants to just try and shore things up a little bit more. Now Burton are going to make their extra time substitution as well, with Jack Armour going off, the man who could have actually been taking us to penalties when he had that great chance in extra time, but he dragged it wide.
Yeah, indeed, and he'll be replaced by Jasper Moon then. So he comes on in replace of Jack Armour, and the ball is now being backing by West Ham. Areola tries to launch it upfield. It's won back by Burton. Nice play by Adam. Chowkey gets it onto Larson. Onto Cannon. Cannon will play it back to Larson on this left-hand side. Nice little 1-2 between them, but not much movement coming from this Burton side. Chowkey will take it down the line for Cannon. Overlapping run comes in from Larson. Tries to get his cross off. Blocked out by Orford, and it'll go out for a corner kick, I do believe. On that left-hand side, yeah, it has done. Obviously, they are now shooting towards the Burton Albion fans, are the Burton players. Ball is played quickly in to Chowkey. Ball towards that far post. It isn't won in the end by a Burton player. Back out. Shot comes in from distance. It's blocked by Mavropanos. It's won back by Burton. Onto Godwin Malife then. He'll head down onto his right hand side to get away from Magassa. Does really well to do so. In swings it. It's behind everybody. Takes a touch. Beasley tries to lay it off. Oh, he laid it off into a space where there's no Burton players. It needed a little bit of a heavy touch. Chowkey is undermined by Castellanos. Plays it into Collins. Collins kicks it back out. It's ended up with Somerville. Somerville try and play it back into Castellanos, who was offside anyway, but it was dealt with by Toby Sibic in the end then. And ball has been played on to this right hand side quickly by Burton then. They really want to get themselves going in the second half of extra time then. Ball is onto this right hand side. It goes then for for Adam. Adam onto Godwin Malife. Malife gets away from a player towards the back stick. It's headed back down. Beasley can't get a hold of it. It's over the crossbar. It was headed back down into him. I think it took a touch off of a West Ham defender in Disassi. It did, but there are chances coming for this Burton side, but you feel like they could get so unlucky here.
Oh, they are so unlucky. They were so close there, Burton, but the fact that they are getting these chances, the fact that West Ham are down to 10, the fact that West Ham have had to bring on defenders to shore things up, just tells you there's still a really good chance that Burton can do something in this game.
West Ham, they are looking to reach the 5th round of the FA Cup for the first time since 2023, but it could be that Burton put a stop to that, but here they come on this right hand side with Somerville. Chowkey is dropping off him. He's got Castellanos to his right hand side. He will use him. Castellanos is running. Toby Sibic is getting back though to try and defend this. It's passed back into Somerville, but Chowkey is there. Really good defending. It's not quite cleared though by Larson before he blindly plays it into the path of Kyron Lofthouse, and away it goes down this right hand side then. It was a good break from West Ham there, but didn't end up with anything yet again. Burton are staying strong in their defence. Ball onto his left hand side for Cannon. He'll play it into Kyron Lofthouse. Lofthouse one-on-one with Walker Peters will head inside of the box there. Tries to get the cross in. It comes off of Walker Peters and goes out for a corner. This is brilliant pressure at the moment from Burton Albion, and West Ham here, even though they've made the changes, these fresh legs that have come onto the field, it's not really working out for them. This corner might not work out for Burton though. Cannon is in basically a pit full of mud here down by that corner flag. It's a very slippery surface, but he's managed to do well to drill it in, but it's only into the path of Areola, who has only managed to punch it out though. He's on to Larson. Chowkey, they've got to get it back inside the box here. Chowkey does so with a low driven one. Van Kooten onto Godwin Malife, can't quite get the shot off, so plays it back inside. Beasley is there. He's been undermined though before it's away in the end by Disassi. It was trying to be played into Jasper Moon, but it goes out for a throw in then. Not taken quickly. Jasper Moon will be the taker of this. I can only guess it'll be a long one inside of the box for Burton then. Fixes his hair, wipes the ball down as well. He's got Chowkey on the edge of the box just in case it comes back out here, but Jasper Moon will play it inside towards the near post. It's headed away in the end, but it goes out for a corner kick then. And it was, I believe, to be Disassi yet again who managed to get his head and clear his lines there since coming on.
Yeah, one-way traffic here now in this game. The Burton fans are into it now. The Burton players can still sense that West Ham really are just trying to protect the edge of their own box, just trying to defend anything that Burton are doing. So this is the time now when they can really pile the pressure on.
Ball inside the box, headers goes up, it's Jasper Moon, falls back to Beasley. He'll play it back across to Jasper Moon. Nobody can get quite onto the end of it. It's now finally cleared by West Ham. Chowkey plays it back towards his goalkeeper. Magassa will keep on running down. It's a bit of a poor launch forward by Brad Collins. It's bouncing around in there. Cannon does well to get it down and keep it under control. Ball is back then onto this right hand side. It's now with Sibic through the middle. Sibic, he's got players towards his left hand side in Chowkey. Won't use him though. Sibic will play it back across into the path of Van Kooten, who will launch it forward for Jasper Moon, tries to get the flick on. Beasley had gone back inside, but he does have Larson there. Larson inside the box, takes it away from Walker Peters towards the back stick. Header can't come quite in, it's not cleared. It comes back out, shot comes in, oh, and it's wide of the post by Adam. He needed to get that one really on target to be troubling the goalkeeper, but yet again flashes so far away from the post.
Yeah, he slices that one a long way in the end, but yeah, it's more good pressure this from Burton. And at the moment, West Ham are just clearing their lines and they just come straight back towards their own penalty area. This time as the ball was cleared, it's only cleared to the edge of the box. And in fairness, there were so many bodies in the way that even had he got that on target, I'm not sure it would have found a way through anyway. But the Burton fans really trying to get some extra support into their players now.
Well, they've got a lot of confidence, haven't they, these Burton players? They've held on strong for so long. As Disassi heads it downfield to Castellanos, who's turned away from his man. Is he offside? The flag has gone up for offside. He tries the shot and it's saved anyway, knowing that he was offside. But Somerville there tried to play it round, and they are linking up nicely. But it's the only two players up front, and because Burton they've got three at the back actually, which is nicely played by them. They've taken this free kick quickly though into the path of Larson. He turns nicely away from his man. Mavropanos has slipped on the floor. Larson onto Cannon. Onto Sibic then. Sibic gets his head up, tries to drill it inside of the box. Areola is out though. Beasley was being held up by Disassi anyway. And the ball is quickly rolled out by Areola onto Walker Peters. Walker Peters can't get away from the challengers. He's finally brought down in the end. It will go out for a throw in then. And West Ham just can't seem to quite clear their lines. They're taking a long time now, aren't they? Trying to time waste a little bit.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they're going to try and do anything they can just to try and eke out a few extra seconds here. They don't want to make this any easier than it has to be for Burton, of course, who are desperate just to try and get hold of the ball. But yeah, they're taking a very long time here now. It's finally launched forward here by Mavropanos.
It is indeed. Castellanos was saying he wanted a free kick. He wasn't going to get one though, as Adam has managed to win back possession of the ball. Tries to play it inside to Cannon. Heavy touch from him though, and he's lost possession of the ball. Ball long upfield. Sibic has got Castellanos behind him. Just plays it back though nicely towards his goalkeeper. He's got to quickly get it on from his feet, but Somerville has got it here. He's one-on-one with Cooper. Oh, and he's missed it. Sorry, with Collins, and he's missed it. It's wide of the post. That was the chance for Somerville to really seal the deal in this game, but it's a missed opportunity by West Ham.
Oh, it is a missed opportunity. They should be getting their second here, really. The goalkeeper plays this out, and the way that Somerville picks this off, I mean, he can't miss from there, really, but he somehow manages to drag it wide. The keeper's got out of jail there, really, Collins, because that should have been 2-0 to West Ham.
Yeah, indeed. Ball is with Godwin Malife on this right-hand side. On to Kyron Lofthouse. He tries the overlapping run, but he's being held up by Magassa. Magassa, obviously the midfielder who's managed to keep his place for the 115 minutes that we have played. Ball inside the box. Oh, well, it's deflected and gone out for a throw-in instead. It was looking to get back inside the box. Plenty of Burton players were in there. Burton fans are still chanting on their team. Want them to keep going. Van Kooten will be the throw-in taker of this one. He's played it into Jasper Moon. Moon has been held up though. Ball is, well, it tried to be played downfield by Mayers, and it's not worked out in the end. Chowkey will pick it up. He's got players towards that left-hand side. Well, Beasley slipped inside of the box and he can't quite get it under control. There are a few players now slipping and sliding, but now it's become a 3-on-2 for West Ham. Chowkey is in there. Burton are getting back in numbers. Larson can't quite get a hold of the ball. It's played with Orford. Orford will play it into Magassa. Heavy touch from him. There's a coming together though, and I believe, well, actually the referee is saying, I believe, that we need a new ball here. The ball, I believe, has gone flat. It will be a free kick, I believe, or a drop ball, because of the ball has gone flat then. The referee didn't seem to like that one. Magassa's just testing out the ball as well. He's trying to have a little feel of it, and it will be a drop ball then. I think it'll be back with West Ham. They did have possession of it, and Magassa will take this one. He's put it out wide to Walker-Peters, who's quickly being marked here by Larson, so has to go back. Long ball upfield is never going to really trouble as Collins comes out of his net for it then. And well, he drops it towards the floor. They're really needing something here, Burton. They've got to get the ball forward. They've had plenty of chances, but just been so unlucky. And you've got to say, West Ham have been quite fortunate that it hasn't really landed for Burton today. Ball long forward. It goes by West Ham. Collins will be quickly out of his net to make sure that it doesn't go out of play. Ball with Van Kooten. Van Kooten will look diagonally, but he slipped as he's crossed. Tried to play it diagonally across. It has worked out in the end there. Walker-Peters is all over the back of Larson. The referee has given him a little bit of a warning there. Ball is played onto this right-hand side. It goes for Van Kooten. Overlapping run is Godwin Malife, but he can't keep it in. It was over, and it was too hard in the end for him to chase, and it goes out for a goal kick. But you feel here that Burton are maybe being a little bit tired now.
Yeah, Burton are starting to tire a little bit, and from West Ham's point of view, I think that yeah, we can see that again. This is the best angle actually we didn't see previously, but there you can actually see that ball flick off the shin pad of the Burton defender as he was sliding in for Somerville's goal. But it's a tough one, I think, for Burton. You made the point earlier in this extra time period that they could take a lot of confidence from this game, and it's so important that Gary Bowen and his coaches make sure that the players understand, although it's disappointing they haven't so far. I mean, obviously the game's not over yet, but if they do go on to lose this game, they have had lots of bad luck, but they're on the attacking now. Great covering though from Somerville, but still have a chance for a shot.
Lofthouse tries the shot. Oh, it's wide of the post. Areola, well, he was beaten there. He wasn't going to dive down to that one. And Kyron Lofthouse, out of really nothing, found his pathway blocked and tried the shot, but it's wide of the post.
It is wide of the post, and you see when he goes, oh, it's just, he's very casual there, Areola. Like, it's obvious to him that this ball is going a long way wide. That ball is always on target until the very last second where it veers off. So Areola's judgment there is a little bit questionable. He was very laid back about it, but he could have been embarrassed with that one.
It could have been indeed, but could that be the chance that levels this game, really? But long ball forward. It's beaten in the air, Somerville. Somerville tries to take it around Van Kooten, but finds his pathway blocked in the end, and ball is back with Collins. Collins onto this right-hand side it goes then. It will continue to be down the line by Godwin Malife. Really poor pass from him though. He's got to do better than that, but a few tired legs now really coming for Burton, but they're still showing heart to try and get the ball forward. Castellanos plays it into Magassa. Magassa finds his pathway blocked, has to turn back in on himself, goes onto this left-hand side for Somerville. Somerville will head down the line, but he only goes halfway over into the Burton half before he finally passes it back towards his defenders. He's been held up here. The referee hasn't given anything on that one, and Somerville can't quite believe it, but the final touch there coming in off of Orford and goes out for a throw-in for Burton then. It will be Godwin Malife to take it. He plays it back inside then on to where we've got 2 additional minutes then left to be played. We've played the 120. We've got 2 minutes of additional time. Can Burton Albion find an equaliser in this game? Collins sends it long forward. He's looking for Moon. Moon is beaten off though by Mavropanos. Back inside it goes to Adam, and he can't do heavy touch from him, and he can't do much with that ball that was played into him. Chases on for Toby Sibic to keep it in play. He does so. They've got to get the ball forward here and keep it inside this West Ham half. Cannon onto Larson. Larson back to Cannon, and Cannon's away here on this right hand side. He plays it into Adam. He's got plenty of space. We'll try the shot. He's straight Areola. Chowkey, he can't quite get onto the end of it. It's a scramble inside the box. Chowkey tries the shot. It's hit the side netting though. Areola diving down to his right hand side, but yet again Burton can't capitalise on the chance. It was a mess inside of the box, and in the end it's hit the side netting.
It has hit the side netting. How close is this? Burton really have tried everything to try and get back into this. Areola, not the best save. They're really pushing that right back in front of him. But then the second effort into the side netting, Gary Bowyer can't believe it.
Yep, he's put the snood over his glasses. He can't believe what he's watching here. West Ham have been down to 10 men, and Burton still can't capitalise on the opportunities. But for me, West Ham have got really lucky in today's game. There's been a force field around that net for the Burton players that hasn't been broken. Sibic, he's got to get this ball forward. He turns away from Castellanos. There's about 30 seconds left to be played. Walker-Peters has come out of position. Larson will continue over. Well, he's been dragged down there by Walker-Peters, who's kicked the ball away, and there's a little scuffle inside of the West Ham half. A few players pushing and shoving it. It's all getting a little bit rowdy here with Walker-Peters. Adam has shoved him in the face, and it's really getting out of hand here from the Burton players. There'll be a few yellow cards given by the referee. We can see him already hold it up there. There was a few. Nuno Espirito Santo is telling his players to calm down.
Yeah, he is, of course. I think it's the right thing for Nuno to do, because the West Ham are winning this game. They don't need to have any more issues here now, and the referee's now going to have to give out some yellow cards as well.
Yeah, he is indeed. As Collins has come out of his net for this as well. I think he's going to go up for this free kick that will be taken. He is. The goalkeeper's up for the free kick. Oh no, I think he'll actually take it. Never mind. Well, he'll be awarded a yellow card. Actually, will Collins? He's going back towards the referee. Adam has also been awarded a yellow card. There's yellow cards flying around here, non-stop, by the referee then. Brad Collins, well, the goalkeeper is up, like I was saying. Godwin Malife has also been yellow carded. There's been yellow cards to all sorts of West Ham players as well in that scuffle. I believe one will be given towards Walker-Peters as well. But this is the last opportunity for Burton. They've got to do something from this free kick then. Walker-Peters has been shown the yellow card. It's in-swung. Cannon towards the far post. Headers go arriving. It's onto the edge of the box. The goalkeeper's come out, but it's headed away, and here go West Ham. Well, it's held up, but the referee has blown his full-time whistle. Well, it went the full 120 minutes, but the decider is Somerville with his goal in the end, inside of the first half of extra time. He got awarded man of the match as well, but there was a force field around the net for Burton. They have been so unlucky in this game not to convert any chances. West Ham were down to 10 men and managed to hold on, and in the end it's West Ham that go through to the 5th round. It's Burton 0, West Ham 1.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether